Hey, there we go. That was the introduction I was looking for the whole time. Not the one that I started playing, which was not at all the intro to my usual Pen and Pixel shows. That wasn't at all what happened. I mean, that was not at all the case, right? I mean, we were all together with that at this time. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? Welcome, Goglings. Welcome, Gogorifics. Welcome, everybody, to episode 242 of Pen and Pixels. I am your host, Arvin Elleron. This is the show that we do here every Tuesday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern, focusing on story and narrative in games. And this is D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder, and it is my pleasure to be back with you and with all the amazing players on this journey into the world of the Forgotten Realms. Before we get any farther, just a couple of reminders about things. If you haven't already done so, please follow us here on GOG.com. This makes a big difference to us. The more that we can do this, the more numbers we can get, the more people that we can get in, and the more exciting DRM-free stuff that we can share with everybody. So please consider following us here. Please subscribe to us as well on GOG.com so that you can use those awesome custom emotes and sub badges here, there, and everywhere across the Twitches and the Twitters. That is always appreciated. And also, if you do that, you'll be able to gather some information about how you can help the individual streamers as well, because all of us individually have our own streams with our own Patreons and subsystems and all that kind of good stuff, so you can click through to us individually as well. Tomorrow, or next week, I should say, we will be getting back into The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Blood and Wine, into what will be our last session, or our next to last session, so we're almost to the end of that game. And then after that, we'll be going back into the game that I debuted last week, which is Vaporum Lockdown. I had a lot of fun with that, and I am going to be doing that as my next series game after I am done with Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Blood and Wine. Mission Critical, which I had planned to do, is going to have to wait until after Vaporum, but that's what we got going on. Welcome, Truzen. But we've got that going on next week. But this week, we have got something that I know all of you are very excited about. It's something that I've been actually really looking forward to for a long time, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to a group of streamers. Yeah, no, that's not what I mean. We are excited about that, but that's not the real thing. The real thing that matters is that you are looking at the outstanding D&D with GOG stream team Dungeons and Dragons group playing Storm King's Thunder, which has I think there's been a lot of thunder. I think we can all agree, and I think we're going to get a lot of bardnanigans perhaps today, and perhaps some other stuff as they
I forgot where we were.
as they walk onto a ship.
I've been stressing about this a little bit.
Oh man, it's going to be such good times. I
Genuinely forgot where we were.
I am super excited for all of it. It's going to be great.
Too late to say I can't play.
Before I get there, they love this guy. This guy's so great. Before I get there, I do want to remind everyone that if you haven't done so, not only to check out these individual people, but remember that there is a big D&D game sale going on right as we speak. So if you're watching this and you're like, man, I too wish that I were a part of this universe and a part of these wonderful people. Well, too bad. They're my friends, not yours. But also, you can get a sort of faint, just slight echo of those things by looking at our D&D sale. I'm joking. Of course, we're friends with all of you lovely people in chat, but you can get that D&D sale. Somebody said, is there anyone who doesn't have all these games already? And of course there are, but it is one of those things that, like, these are such iconic and amazing games, many of which I have played on this stream and other streams, that they are worth getting. So you should check it out. Get those right there through that sale, because that is always appreciated. And as Echo points out, it is indeed still September. So if you have not subbed before, you can save 20% on the normal cost There, it like Mortara subscribing at tier 1 GOG.com D&D hype. That's what I'm talking about. You too can be like Mortara, and you can subscribe also. And if you haven't subbed before, you will get that 20%. So where it would normally cost $5 to sub at tier 1, it will only cost you $4 to sub. So you will be able to get an extra candy bar. You could get half of a bottle of water. You could get 1/10 of an overpriced Starbucks drink. There are so many things you could get with that save dollar here during September. So you're going to want to make sure that you do that because we appreciate the support and because it does make a difference as the channel continues to grow. And we have plans, people, that we were just talking about in the green room. And boy, it looks impressive. And Echo Alpha has subscribed with, wait a minute, let's see, GOG.com D&D hype, Darksaber hype, and Pyron Jade hype, and Screaming Mike and Peripheral Joypad hype, and Tasty Chai Tea. Notice that there's no hype for me, though. Just the players is the only thing that has the hype. And that's all right. That's my lot in life. It's all about the players. All the September and D&D sale hype, all the hype. Thank you, Echo, very much for the tier 1 sub. 42 months of support. Wow. 3.5 years. Thank you very much, Echo. And you too can be like Echo and sub to us as well. But yes, we got a lot of stuff going on. It's very exciting. And I'm going to talk to the players about what might be exciting for them. I will start with Pyron Jade, who is right below me in the column, but not right below anybody in our hearts. Pyron, how are you? How's life, the universe, and everything with you? And who are you playing today?
Life is crazy. I will not speak for the universe though. And I'm playing Greta Goldenfire, Dwarven Cleric of Folters, Mainline Shadowing Away today. And as I remember correctly, we were trying to infiltrate a casino with our barbarian posing as nobility. And I'm not sure where this plan actually went wrong. Because that is like the best plan we had for a while, yeah. I think. So
I don't know why you think it went wrong. It's going according to... You know, there is a plan that it's going according to, so I think it's...
No. I met a bard, so we went wrong somewhere.
That was the bard, but you knew it was all wrong.
Plan.
So,
yes.
There's a bard. We went wrong in life. There's a bard.
There was a bard. These are true facts. I am looking forward to you dealing with this bard on the Grand Dame, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. Always a pleasure to have Pyron with us. Also a pleasure to have Darksaber 2K with us, who, when not being wonderful and doing all the dashboard stuff and Moobot stuff in preparation for this, is busy either playing in this game or doing awesome streams on both GOG.com and his own channel. And Saber, how are you? How's life, the universe, and everything on your end? And who are you playing, sir?
You know, keeping busy when I'm not at work. I'm pretty much here streaming either here or on my own channel. As I've been really happy to be playing Control pretty much exclusively for the last week and a half here on GOG because it's such a good game. And I'm really happy to have a chance to show it to the people on this channel because I really enjoyed it. Like, it's so good. Like, I finished playing through it about 4 months ago, and then it came out on GOG, and I'm just like, I'll do it again, which is always the sign that how much I've enjoyed a game because I'm a once and done player with a lot of games. So many games, so little time. Don't have a lot of time to play a game a second time, but Control is worth it. So check it out on GOG, DRM free.
It is good stuff. And when you're here, who are you playing, sir?
Yeah, I will be taking the role of Celsig Mauer, who is currently... What am I doing at the moment in the party? Security liaison / Barker for Lord Roaringhorn, if I remember correctly.
Security liaison. You just have one of those CVs that's just on a scroll case. You just like it just rolls out like with all of your stuff that you do.
At this point, it's more like a magic 8-ball. I am a security man.
All signs point to Ranger. Yeah. That you've got going on. Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what Celsig brings to us today, and it will also be exciting to see what the aforementioned Lord Roaringhorn, otherwise known as Urash, does today. And that, of course, will be played by Peripheral Mike. Mike, how are you doing? How's life in the universe with you? I see. Are you in another room within the new place? Like, is this the streaming setup now, or like?
I'm just going to stream. Hi everyone, by the way. I'm just going to stream in a different room every session now. So next time,
just as a show off. Oh, I'm in my kitchen. Oh, sorry.
Homono flex. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm just like, look at all this real estate I own. So now basically we are decorating. I'm obviously not, unfortunately I won't be sharing this sort of stuff online, but I will be sharing it with close friends. People in Discord have seen some of this stuff before, but we're decorating the spare room, which we were using as a study, and we're currently in the craft room. Hence, I don't know how much of this Arva's cropped out, but there's a lot of crafting materials and office materials. Just
I've cropped none of it out. It's there.
Safe, and a PSVR helmet for some unknown reason. I don't know why that's
You
there.
crafted that yourself, I assume.
Yeah, I made that. That's
Yeah.
fine. I'm going to make that into something else. It's fine. But yeah, the world is going well. Really, really busy. And if anybody else, all of a sudden, like it's conference season, like virtual conferences are kicking off for the tech community, and there's lots of work to do, and there's lots of writing. And I may be writing a book as well at the minute. I'm not 100% sure on this in regards to software testing. More on that later. Check out my Twitter, Peripheral Mike. Yeah, it's really weird time. That and kind of renovating a house and everything. And a pandemic, obviously. Let's not forget that.
Oh yeah.
And the government flip-flopping about their advice every now and then, like someone who can't three-point turn in a car park. But other than that, I mean, everything's going fine. How are you?
It's just fine. Yeah, I was thinking about the Austin Powers thing, and like that's basically but normally you are playing. I don't think you mentioned that, did you?
Urush, the half-orc barbarian and devout follower of Tempest, and I made myself some of my own peripherals. I have a list of Tempest's dogma right here, which I've sourced from strangers on the internet, so it's obviously true.
Yep.
I also have made myself small ability cards as well. You can get this sort of stuff on Amazon, but I'm cheap, so to remind myself of what my character can actually do other than just rage and hit things. He's actually got a few tricks up his sleeve, so I've now got these laying out in front of me so that when we're in situations I can go, hey, what's speak with animals do, rather than just like I hit it with an axe. So yeah,
I speak with animals, then rage at what it says, and then hit it. Like I can change the order of
pretty much, yeah.
What is that?
I think at one point
I worry every time you speak to Fluffball.
I think at one point, if like just to role play it, I'm just gonna like shuffle all of these cards, turn them face down, and then just sort of go, well, now I've decided to dark vision. That's what I do. That's
I give to you dark vision. Yeah.
I can see in the dark, but that's it. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful time. I hope you look after yourselves, and I've missed you guys.
Same, and it's good to have you back as always, Mike. And it's also good to have back with us, of course, Tasty Chai, who comes to us. But I do not see the presence of the true star on your stream, which is the presence of Baby. Is that because? I see. Okay. Because I was going to say, listen, I mean, you're great, Chai, and all that, but I mean, really, the star here is actually.
I know.
No, how are you doing, Chai? How's life in the universe with you?
It's ironic you say that because she just woke up and she was like, ah, and now she's falling back asleep. I think. I hope she's falling back asleep because that was not a long enough nap. Nope, she's still yelling. We'll figure this out. Anyway, I am playing River today, who is a Silver Dragonborn, also a Harper, and I believe designated guard of the buffet. I think that was decided. I need to make sure that the buffet doesn't hurt anybody, so I'm going to stand next to it.
Yeah, food tester.
And
100%.
sample its wares.
Yes, to make sure that it's safe.
To make sure that it's safe. It might be poisoned. It might be, covered in vampires. We don't know.
Right.
But I'll find out.
Just crawling in vampires. All right, who put this next to the chocolate fountain? Why is Strahd on top of the chocolate fountain? Anyway. But it's a pleasure to have Chai with us. It's going to be great. And chat, I hope you folks are looking forward to this as much as I am. With that said, let us kick in the replay. Let us, where's my stuff? Here we go. And there we go. We have got the sound. Where is it? Give me the soundscape. There we go. We've got the city. And we've got our music, which right now is provided to us by Green Forge Studios. I talked a little bit about this before, but I have a partnership with them, and they allow me to play this music on any of my D&D campaigns and channels. And I highly recommend them because they're awesome. And the guy who is the director of Green Forge Studios who wrote this is the guy who did the soundtrack for Pop-Up Dungeon, and also happens to be the concertmaster for the Louisville Orchestra. And I was like, oh, no wonder this all sounds so badass. So anyway,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So definitely check out that music as well.
If I can just chip in, sure. Arv actually shared some of this music with me because I'm going to be using this on the campaign trailer. It is coming, I promise. It is coming. But I was listening to this, and I must have listened to this specifically, I think, this tune probably for about 4 hours.
Oh
and I
no.
like it just looped constantly, and I'm just like, this is a really good vibe. Like this is really
Yeah.
nice. Like I'm in just the right mindset for this. I'm in a tavern. I've got my mead. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yep, I same. It's one of those things that I've been listening to a fair bit for that. It's good. So I agree entirely. You should check them out at Greenforge Studios. Okay. With that said, let us get into the recap from our last session. So the crew has made its way across everywhere in the Forgotten Realms, so it seems, over a course of several years in our real-life, real-world play. And has made their way finally to the city of Yartar, and they are brought there because dealing with this giant outbreak, if you will, this giants acting strangely, giants behaving badly, really. The party has had to figure out why this is happening, and so they have gone everywhere you can imagine to try to figure this out. And if you go to my Pen and Pixels playlist on my YouTube channel, you will see all of the D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder stuff, beginning all the way back from the Temple of Tribor, like way back in the distant past. The party has been many different places, but they've come to Yartar now because they have finally managed to zero in on what seems to be the source of the problem. Hecaton, who is the king of the giants, who is the head of the ordning of the giants, has been missing and is apparently kidnapped and brought somewhere. Obviously, you can't just kidnap a storm giant without a lot of work and effort, and so they're not entirely sure where he's been brought. But they have one bit of a lead, one small lead, and that is that Nerissa, Hecaton's youngest daughter, who is currently leading the Storm Kings and is the head of the ordning, such as it is, although the ordning is kind of fractured at the moment. Nerissa has given them the support of the giants and has offered to try to help as much as she can, and has given them this coin, which I believe I have a picture of right here. It is this golden goose coin, which Selsig, of course, immediately from work with friends and having heard about this from elsewhere, not at all related to personal experience, but just from a distance, right, has looks like a gambling chip. And so the party managed to track down, eventually, information that led them to one of the most prominent gambling ships in Yartar, and that is the Grand Dame. But they cannot just walk onto the Grand Dame dressed as, your typical adventuring party, because this is only for the creme de la creme. This is top tier. This is penthouse, by the bay type of stuff, right? We're talking like top level. So you need to be dressed for it and dressed for the occasion. And so the party got dressed as best they could, most importantly, getting Urash back into his exceedingly comfortable tux, which is, of course, that's what it's all about, and have introduced him as Lord Roaringhorn, who he's used this alter ego before, to be able to get onto this ship. So they went onto the ship. They weren't sure whether it was going to work or not. There was a question about whether it was going to succeed. And just when it seemed as if the guards, who were not really inclined to allow them onto this ship, it seemed, were about to walk away from them, they encountered one of their, I'd say a fan favorite. I would say one that the people have desperately desired and wanted. I think it's fair to say, and I think the party they've been begging for this person's return. I think there's no question that they really are happy to have him back. And that was this voice who says from the deck of the ship, and actually I think I have the deck of the ship. Let me bring you over to that. Yes, I do. Oh wait, I gotta bring the map over here so I can bring it. Bear with me 1 second. This is
we
extremely
already
exciting.
tend to a murder mystery. Who killed Ernesto?
Right, exactly. This thing is setting up for an Agatha Christie story. I think there's no question about it.
Wait, who was Ernesto?
Okay. Right.
Was he not the bard? Is that the name of the bard?
Nesto.
No.
Nesto.
No, we were investigating a stolen business, the rope business for the.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
I
wasn't
don't
the bard,
remember.
wasn't the
If the
bard
bard-
called Diego Maradona?
If the bard just happens to die as well,
Yes.
That will be such a mystery. Nobody will ever know what happened.
Where did his axe come from in his
Bless his ashes.
Bless his
Okay.
actions.
So
I could add crime scene investigator to my CV.
Yeah, that's very true. Your business card should just say many. That's the one word that should be on it.
I love this
I thought it was
picture, by the way,
objection.
which gets used. All the everyone can now see this on chat. This is Selsig's token, and I just love that he's always like, I could also do that. Like, but it's a fixed smile where inside you die a little bit inside every time. Where you're just gonna like, oh, God,
That's a this
why?
is fine face.
Yeah, exactly. This is also this is fine face of Ura.
Ura straws his axe.
Yeah, exactly. Just like,
It's like preparing another body.
okay.
Greta uses honesty.
Exactly.
I do not use honesty. Honesty uses me.
Honesty uses me. Okay, and finally, last but certainly not least,
a pyramid scheme for your church.
there we go. All right, I think everyone has control of their tokens, but if you could just double check quickly for me, everybody, and make sure you can move those.
I'll just pretend I didn't just try and click on the stream instead of Roll20.
No, that didn't happen at all.
I do that
No, I
so
can't.
often. I do that so often when I'm watching streams and I'm like, oh, I would like to go to the menu, and I'm like, click. What? I can do that so often.
Yep.
No, I don't have control.
I will give that to you just 1 second.
I have no control.
Okay, that should
That's
be,
my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
you should have control now.
I do, thank you.
Okay, does everyone else, Pyron, do you have control of yours, and Mike, do you have control of yours or no?
I do not.
Okay.
Let me see.
Also, I think just a point, is
Okay.
Fluffball allowed on, or must he wait like a good boy?
Yeah, pets are what they define as pets are definitively not permitted on the Grand Dame.
Hey, he's a service dog.
Yeah,
exactly.
he's not a pet.
See-
Fluffball is the king.
He's my elevation aid.
Yeah, so while my elevation aid, while the things such as the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I'm sure there are equivalents in everyone's respective countries here, while those things are a thing, there is no Disabilities Act per se in Forgotten Realms, which is a unfortunate, reality, but that is the case. So, okay, Greta, you should now have control over yours, and Mike, you should have control over yours.
I do. Yeah.
Salsig, you and Greta, you should start a campaign for equal heights.
Equal heights.
Heights.
Wow.
Equal height.
Outstanding.
I'm
That's
just
good.
quoting Cratchit here. I'm just quoting Cratchit. That wasn't one of mine.
That's it, folks. With Pete. See you later.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just
Thanks
lie
for
about
coming.
my height.
So anyway, on the deck of this thing, and actually I can probably show you a little bit more. I'll show you. Nope, not that. What are you doing? Don't show me. Actually, wait a minute. Let me think about that. Do I show you that? No, not quite yet. I mean, it's not a
No,
big deal.
wait,
that
that's
you saw
where
it,
the
but-
giant spiders live.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so there are these basically these little side corridors that lead to these doors, although there are people coming in and out. Some of the doors are open, which is why I wasn't sure, but we'll just have it when you go up there. You'll look at what you want to look at. So this, however, is the ship. It is the main deck of the Grand Dame. And standing on the deck of the Grand Dame, in addition to people sort of moving back and forth, is a familiar figure who, again, said, "What a pleasure to see you again, my friends." Da-da-da-da-da, and played his music, and that was our good friend, as you look over, Nesto. Now, for those of you who are new to the stream and new to this campaign and don't know who this is, Nesto is a bard that the party encountered back in Neverwinter? Or was it Waterdeep? I want to say... Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're streaming the correct window, because usually we cannot see so much of the DM things.
No, looks normal.
I don't think so.
Because
It's the dice roll window.
No, we could see the window where he chose the token, and earlier on we could see the window where he chose the
Oh,
the
do you
ship
mean this
deck.
thing? You talk about this? Like, on stream? You talk about that?
Yes, we could. Usually we didn't see that, and we could also, when you chose the ship deck, we could also see all the other maps up there.
Right. Yeah. So, right.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's the map thing is not a big deal. That other thing is from the dice roller because it's capturing the dice roll thing at the moment. That's not a big deal. Because I'm not going to capture anything that's like the big bad secret enemy guy. It is not in its own column. But thank you for letting me know. So
I don't like spoilers. That's why I'm saying.
yes, no, I get it.
No,
I
it's
get
fine.
it.
He's keeping the blue dragon on one side on the ship. It's
Yeah, I'm definitely going to make sure that I keep off the party's final end column that I have set for because that's not at all. I'm just that's not at all what I mean. So anyway, I believe you met this bard. I want to say in Neverwinter, originally. I don't remember if it was Neverwinter or Waterdeep, but I think it was Neverwinter. Where you were speaking with this bard, and the bard was a little bit of a big personality, basically, might be the way to put it, and got you into some versions of trouble, although mostly said he was really excited to see you at all times, and he looks very much the same as he did then, as he plays his lute. He looks dramatic. He has this outrageously ridiculous-looking hat, which looks like something to jump out of this game for a moment, The Witcher 3's worst NPC hats, but, like, worse than that, you know what I'm saying? Like, big, poofy, and purple, and there is an outrageous orange flower that is draped up the side of this purple hat, sort of out of the top of this hat. And he says, "My friends, it is a pleasure to see you again. Guards, let them on." And so the guard, like, looks back at him, like, you know, and then looks back at you. It's like, this one down here says he's Lord Roaringhorn. You know something about him? And he says this to you, party, jerking a thumb over his shoulder and pointing at Nesto, the bard who's on the deck.
I'm
You
sorry.
know this one?
So the guards, just recap for a second. I'm really confused all of a sudden.
Whether we know Lord Roaringhorn, everyone knows Lord Roaringhorn.
So the guard is asking us if we know Nesto,
Right.
Who's saying he knows us?
who's saying he knows us.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Of course they do. They are among my closest companions. There was a time when we adventured here, there, and everywhere across the Sword Coast and the Forgotten Realms. I should not need to explain myself to you, you idiot. And the guard kind of stares back at him and then...
Did he roll a deception check for that?
We're in the band.
Yeah, so he sort of says, all right.
My friends and I have traveled a lot.
He says, and never more to good better purpose than today, dear lady. It is a pleasure to have all of you with us again. Please ascend the ramp and enter onto... And you get the impression that he's about to say my ship, and then he realizes, like, the ship on which I am currently placed. Because you get the impression this is definitely not his ship. But nonetheless, he seems to be some kind of honored guest, and the guard moves out of the way and allows you to walk onto the deck if you so wish.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I bow before Urash and present the ramp to him.
Thank you.
Lord, after you.
Thank you. I ascend the ramp.
Okay. So you ascend up this ramp, and you end up, so you can just end up around there. And if the rest of you are doing the same thing, you can also arrive.
I swagger up after him. I say swagger, considering my size, it's more like a waddle, but...
I just realized I reduced the token size so that you weren't actually bigger than Urash, which I think is not accurate. Okay. So, and I'm going to guess River and Greta that you're going to follow suit.
I follow after Salsik because I'm not security.
Okay. Okay. So, and he sees you come on board, and he says, wonderful, wonderful. It is a great pleasure to have you all on, my friends. Just come to the front. You can see the beautiful way that the ship is outlaid. And then as you get closer, he kind of gives you this, like this comically large wink at you, and then turns with a flourish, plays a chord, dun-dun-dun, and then walks forward on the deck to the front here.
I hate this guy so much.
I turn to my companion and say, "This way, wink, wink."
Like,
I just stare at all of
thank
this.
you. Wink, wink.
Greta always starts to wonder if this is how she looks like when she's trying to lie. And it's horrifying for her.
So yeah, I mean, I can imagine it would be. Okay, so
Like, thank you, Nesto, our old traveling companion whom we've adventured with up and down the Sword Coast.
indeed, my friend, indeed. But there is no need for us to, how do you say, to increase our own glory with stories, of course. Only the truth is what is necessary here. And he fixes you with a dazzlingly white-toothed smile. And I'm going to...
So how did you end up here?
He says, that, my friend, is a tale. But there is always a tale, of course, to be had. And at this point, he's reached the front. I will ask everyone in chat and the players to ignore the numbers. Pay no attention to the numbers behind the curtain. There's not a big 6 painted on the front deck. So he leads you up
something horrible
here to this deck right here.
And up here, this is not as big a boat as I imagined. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes. Now these are 10-foot squares, not 5-foot. So that may change the calculus a little bit. You know, if you look at it from back to front, it's what 10, 20, 30, 50, 60.
Yeah, no, that's
like
fine.
120 foot long. So
I was thinking because my token kind of filled one of the squares, like
yeah. There you go.
You do tend to fill up space, though.
More to scale.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, you know.
There we go.
As in radius, I think he's about 10-foot radius.
That's the kill zone.
That's the kill zone. Smell.
And River, are you up on the deck with him? Okay, so do you have control over yours, River? Did we say? Okay.
I do. I moved it and then I zoned out and now I'm here.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so he brings you on to the front of the deck. Now, a couple things to note. First of all, I'm not going to cover the ship in people, but I do want you to imagine that there are a number of people here who are well-dressed guests that are kind of walking about. There are people who are playing various kinds of instruments that are walking around you. It all feels very... In fact, let me see if I have... I think it might be this one. Nope. Needs to be more up-excited, up-tempo. Like this, maybe?
More drama!
How about this? There we go. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. The famous song, I Know an Ogre Fair and True. So you have people who are walking around, traveling musicians, you know, that are walking around with violins or lutes and that are playing and, flutes and various instruments. There are also servants apparently walking around with trays on which is set what look like hors d'oeuvres, basically, like various kinds of, appetizers. You think you see some strange little, what looks like a miniature sausage inside a piece of bread. And there seems to be a little wooden stick out of the top of it. Looks pretty good.
I'm concerned why my official food taster isn't already tasting all of the hors d'oeuvres.
I was just about to say I grabbed some. Give him a sniff.
I grab your shoulder and I'm just like, whoa, hang on. We have people for that.
River?
Oh, I'm on it.
So you actually
How are these?
It is
like
yeah, it's a delicious now I'm curious, River. Now these are on a little wooden stick. I don't want to tell you how to eat it. How exactly do you eat this?
As daintily as a hungry dragonborn can.
Okay. So I had this image of you just like crunching the entire thing, or do you like try to not eat the toothpick also?
I crunch the whole thing, but then try to spit out the toothpick as everyone looks horrified at me.
Because you're like crunch, and then you're like, and then the little toothpick thing. The servant who seems to have been well trained to ignore all potential etiquette breaches is just kind of like, just look. And there are people going by with drinks, and and everybody is dressed, by the way, just to the nines. Like everyone is really dressed nicely. And as you're brought to the front of this place, this one in place has these decorative lanterns that are hanging from posts that support the balcony of the upper deck. So you have to imagine that above here, there's basically an upper deck area above this that's sort of like over the top of your area, essentially. So you can look up and you would see the bottom floor of what's above you. So there are lanterns that are there, and there's also a rusty winch which is bolted to the deck, which you can see over here right behind where Nesto is standing, which apparently has a big chain attached to it. Presumably it's the anchor of the ship, if you had to guess. And there are a set of stairs that are leading down from behind it. and there's also a door which leads down the middle of this deck, such as it is. And he says, as you get to the front, people bothering, and Nesto, double fists it, right? Grabs a glass of wine from one tray, grabs a couple of the awesome-looking toothpick holding, bread and sausage things with the other. And he says, having slung the loot around to his back on its shoulder strap, and he says, well, my friends, it is a pleasure to have you here each, after all. And I am curious, most curious about what it is that brings you to the deck of the Grande Dame. I wonder if you are on one of your, and he lowers his voice and kind of, investigations.
Exactly. And I turn to the group and say, this is why Lord Roaringhorn and myself and you two should not be going by our real names. People may be on the lookout for us.
Exactly. If
So
I
this
may...
is Lord Roaringhorn. I am Penbach. I point to Greta. Your name is...
I look around like helplessly. Fluffy?
Nesto
Fluffy.
says, Nesto, who is halfway through eating a second hors d'oeuvre, Fluffy.
I don't.
And you travel here from?
Fluffy.
What? I did not hear that. Dear lady, what? What?
Fluffy from Fluffland.
Nesto looks at you, he's like, I have enormous respect for you, one previously known as something other than Fluffy. But I think you'll need something better than that. Yes.
Back to you.
I've got a. My name is Ina.
Enam.
Enam,
Ina. Just
just
I
Ina.
N A.
And
Yes,
you're from,
That is my name,
and you're from Ina?
and not my sister's name.
Yes, very well. Greta is Ina.
As long as she
Selsig
doesn't know
is-
any money here, you'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
And Selsig is Pelbach. And he
Penbach
Penbach. All right.
of Clambach.
Okay. So, and he says, and we have Lord Roaringhorn, and last but certainly not least, and he turns to you, River, and he says,
It's my mouth full, by the way.
Yeah,
Her name
of
is.
course.
What are we? Different names. Toothpick.
Your name is Toothpick.
Toothpick from the land cheese.
I lean over to our bar and he just goes, nobody ever remembers the food taster's name anyway. They go by so fast.
Well, yes, very well. Lord Roaringhorn, Ina, Penbach, and Toothpick. It is quite a alibi in alternate versions of yourselves that you've produced. Yes. Here, of course, I am myself. Only as the great Nesto could I be allowed entrance onto this amazing ship, and to learn what I may learn there. Of course, I have played music to entertain these lovely guests, but I have also kept my ear to the ground, or the deck, you may say, to gather information. And I assume you, too, are looking for information, and that brings you to this spectacular sight. And he kind of looks at the lanterns and the people around him. Is there anything that I might be able to help with, then?
Yes, and I pull the token that we got, the token that was found on the corpse of, I can remember as his giant queen. It's been a while and I don't have my notes to hand. The goose token.
Yeah.
Yes, the golden goose token, and the queen.
Look at our
I swear
journal.
I noted this down.
I was thinking about Narissa. Hold on, I'll give you the. Too many notes.
Neri. It's
Sorry?
Neri. Queen Neri.
Neri, that's right.
It's like Queen Mary, but Queen Neri.
Queen Neri.
It's like Mary, but not, because she's dead.
Yes.
Both of them are.
Who's
Okay.
who?
Queen Neri, yeah, right. Okay, so, he looks at it and he says, "Oh, well, you've come to the right place. This is the gambling chip that is used right here on the Grand Dame. But these particular chips," and he kind of looks, "well, these are not always available. They're only available when certain kinds of games are being played. And anyone could have theoretically found one of the gambling chips here and brought it to the person that you said who is now no longer with us. Any of those things are possible. But certainly this chip came from here somewhere."
So,
I'd flick it in the air and catch it.
So, how much is it worth?
He says, "Well, it's mostly worth generally," and he kind of looks and does some mental calculations, and he says, "This coin usually is worth about 10 gold pieces on its own, and there is no other amount of money that is permitted on board except what you turn in for these chips. You hand them in at the beginning, get a number of these chips. At the end, you take any remaining chips and the bank pays out the rest. The place is run very closely. Do you know anything about the Grand Dame? Other than my presence on it, of course." And he smiles with a, as he's about to drink his wine.
No, but what can you tell us about this boat?
This boat is well known as being one of the most entertaining things to be found on all of the Sword Coast, but certainly within Yartar. And it is, of course, run by none other than Lord Dryland. Lord Dryland, it should be noted, he's rather a strange fellow, Casper Dryland. He has all sorts of things that are around him, rumors that is to be said, but there's nothing unusual about that. But Dryland himself only makes appearances on rare occasions. It is often difficult to find him, but if you ask me, anything that happens on this ship, Lord Dryland is either the source of it or knows who would be the source of it. So, if you could speak to him, you'd gather all the information you need. The problem is that he isn't visible very much, and he is always guarded by many people."
So, this guy's name is Dryland.
It's Drylund, Drylund.
So he is called Dryland, but you're telling me Fluffy is a bad name.
I am just the messenger.
One of those a person was born to, the other was chosen. See if you can figure out the difference.
Find my very best.
I appreciate your trying, and I pat Greta on the shoulder.
And
I know this isn't easy for you.
he says,
I mean, I'm using a real name, so that's okay.
and so he sort of says, "It is, again, as I say, mostly to be found through him. But my real question is, what do you expect to do about it? It'll be most difficult, I think, to be able to gather any information without finding him, and it'll be difficult to find him for reasons I've already discussed."
That is true, but we could find some information from you about the ship. So, how often do you actually come here?
I am often here, let me see, and he does some quick mental calculations, and he says, "I would imagine that I am here, let us say," and he thinks about, "I'm probably here once every couple of months anyway. I have been asked on multiple occasions, you understand, to be a part of what they do here, especially musically. You see these musicians walking around," and he kind of highlights, he points to a couple of people with violins and everything. He's like, "You see them? They're all right, but truthfully, amateurs." And so he says that, and he kind of looks at them and says, "It is unfortunate. There was a time when they would only have allowed the best possible ones to play on places like this. But now it's so difficult to get the right kind of help. If they had only gone to me in the first place, I could have assembled an incredible group of musicians. And yet instead, I am left with, these people." And he kind of looks at them as they're walking by. He says, "The kind of thing you'd see at a fair of some kind. But under no circumstances should these be mistaken for real musicians. So, the ship itself, although it has plenty of money, seems to rely on cheap assistants like this. Now, as you're all listening, I mean, you've heard plenty of music. They seem fine. I mean, you know, they're not amazing musicians, but they don't seem that bad. But Nesto seems like personally offended that these are the musicians that are being used for this place, he says. But the gambling, of course, the amount of money that can be found, well, that is something of a whole different scope. And I am happy to bring you to the center of where it all happens. There are people in there right now at what we call the Golden Goose Casino. This is how I know that this is the chip from here. It is known as the Golden Goose. And here you can win many such prizes, money and fame, and other things if you needed to know why. This coin, as I say, is given out to anybody. But Lord Dryland rules over this with an iron fist. Well, iron fist, and with the help of his assistant. And then he sort of sees something over your shoulder and his eyes widen a bit and he says, yes, assistant, yes, indeed. And he kind of turns around and looks like he's staring with great interest at the winch for some reason.
He's a bird. He's acting strange. Everything is fine.
He seems to have seen something and turned away from it.
I turn around.
I was going to say, did we notice that he looked over our shoulders?
Yes.
Okay, then have a quick glance.
You see this person walking up. And I actually have a picture of said person that I'm going to show on screen.
Good, because as head of security, I demand to know who this person is.
Okay.
Please. That's what I expect to say whenever
Who
somebody...
approaches Lord Roaring Horn without invitation or begging an audience?
You just like, papers, please.
Definitely not the hors d'oeuvres. They are.
Oh, it's a human again. It's a
The
human
wine
again.
is good too, just so you guys know. I've sampled a lot of it, and it all seems fine.
It does seem very, very good. It does.
Nobody downstream's gonna get any.
You are a little surprised, River, that they've already apparently started moving the boat because it doesn't. The floor does not seem. The deck is not quite as stable as it was. You don't know why they started moving things already, but you know, that's the
It's
deal.
a boat. They can do what they want as long as there's more wine and more of these weird little crackers. I'm pointing to a toothpick when I say that.
So there are many such trays. And as you're doing this and you all look over, you can see that this person is approaching, and you can see the sort of information about this person also. This woman is wearing what looks like a kimono, basically a green kimono, and there are what look like snakes on the shoulders and kind of woven around and through the dress. Not real snakes, you know, obviously, but you know, you can't always tell in D&D. Embroidered snakes, right? But this looks like a very, you know, very beautiful actually and impressive looking dress. And then she has, as you can see, thrust through her hair to hold her hair up, these two pins. She looks very, as I say, glamorous in terms of her outfit, but her expression is all business. She does not smile as she walks up and looks at all the guests, and she comes over to you and bows slightly and says, "Welcome on board. I see that we have new guests here. Nesto, perhaps you would like to introduce me." And he says, and he turns around. Yes, of course, dear lady, yes. May I introduce the group of which I have sung in the past. Here we have Ina, and he points to you, Greta. And here we have Lord Roaringhorn, and points at you, Urash. And Penbach, and he of the clan Bach, points to you, Celsig. And Toothpick. And and Palming sort of she looks over all of you and he says, "May I introduce the head of security for the Grand Dame, Pao Ming." And Pao Ming sort of lowers her head and has these sort of dark, fathomless almost eyes that sort of stare into each of you, and she says, "I am most glad to welcome new guests aboard Lord Dryland's ship. I trust you have found the food satisfactory."
I'll look over to River.
Yes. It is. It is delicious. Thank you very much. Your cut is very pretty.
And she says, "Thank you. And the rest of you?"
It's a marvelous boat and some marvelous food on it. I assume it can only be difficult to secure such a place.
It is a challenge I appreciate. And as long as I have been here, there have never been any incidents of disruption. I am very pleased that Lord Dryland continues to need my services.
A stunning record. Congratulations.
And she nods and she says, "I have not seen you on the boat before. What exactly brings you to the Grande Dame?"
We're essentially just visiting. We're here from Neverwinter. My family hail from there. I was visiting people in Yartar on business. I heard that this was a place where certain individuals might partake of some food and some good wine, some lucrative company, and I decided to come and have a visit. Obviously, I can't travel alone. I'm a lord, but did I mention I'm a lord? But I need certain people with me, and we happened to run into Nesto, who, to be honest, we haven't seen in years. To be honest with you, yeah, that's kind of where we are.
And she says, "Well, it is, in that case, my great pleasure to welcome you here. I must, of course, as I do with all new guests, remind you of some of the rules. There will, of course, be no fighting on board. Fighting will result in your immediate removal from the premises of the deck, whether we are near shore or not. Also, I must notify you that as the ship is continuing its course, that any food or drink you consume will be placed upon a tab to be collected at the end of the night with no exceptions. Inability to pay may lead to difficult consequences. And last but certainly not least, in the casino and elsewhere there will be no theft, no cheating, no below-board behavior. It will all be as it has been dictated by Lord Dryland for the safety and enjoyment of his guests. My security and I will personally ensure that these simple rules are followed. Your weapons, if you had any, and I can see that you do not." And at this point she kind of scans you up and down, but you get the vague feeling that she's like looking through you as much as like at you. There's something weird about her eyes. And she says, "I trust that your demeanor here will continue throughout the rest of the evening. Any disagreements should be kept between yourselves and the guests and should be brought forward only after you have left the ship. This again is for the safety of all the guests. Thank you, and it is our pleasure to welcome you on board." And she kind of lowers. As she's speaking, she speaks in a slightly accented kind of voice. And then she turns to you, Greta, and she says, "And peace be to your mountain home." And she says that in Dwarvish. Also with the same kind of accent, but like, accent in Dwarvish as opposed to something else. And then she again says, "Have a pleasant evening," to all of you in common. And then sort of maybe giving Nesto an extra look as she turns. And then she walks off. And as she walks off, I think probably Celsig, you're closest. So you can hear from Nesto, "I must admit, my friends, she is most impressive and somewhat terrifying. Pao Ming is not to be trifled with. She has been the head of security of this place for a reason, and not simply her eyes and ears, but her fists have been used to accomplish what must be done. She is an accomplished mage and knows something of the arcane arts, so be careful around her. She is, as far as I can tell, completely loyal to Lord Dryland. If you are going to get to him, she is the one you will have to deal with at some point."
not really a good PR person. I think her whole spiel was like kind of unfriendly.
That's
It is true.
kind of security's job. They're not really intended to be approachable. Don't let my cheery demeanor fool you.
You're just the best. You're just the best security person. That's all.
I'm very versatile.
It is what I had hoped to be asked to do myself. I, of course, as a public relations expert, would be able to bring the guests on and to settle their nerves. It would increase profit for the ship. But they simply say that they must have a secure ship at all costs. And so my talents are, well, diminished in value. It is really a great shame. The silencing of art anywhere is a crime against all of the aesthetic history of our peoples. And he kind of nods as he looks off into the dusk. He actually turns his face profile so you can dramatically see him looking off dramatically into the sky.
Oh, good, just in case we didn't notice.
And I will say from personal experience, a mage in charge of security does tend to be rather unsporting. They tend to place the most unreasonable precautions on things. Or so I've been led to believe. I say, looking at Greta, who may have got blown up by such a precaution in the not-too-distant past.
Why would she grade me in Dwarvish? I mean, like, why let me know that she knows Dwarvish? It's not like I'm hiding that I'm a dwarf, so it's not like she could get like, look, I know you're a dwarf, so I'm speaking Dwarvish now.
We're unfamiliar faces here. Her job would be to locate, regular people are regular people. People who come every night or every week or once a month and spend a lot of money, they're known. Security gets used to people like that. The new people are the unknown quantity. That's when security likes to make their presence felt. She's letting us know that she is watching us, and she wants us to know that she knows that we know.
So we should now do what?
We should drink more wine for all the people, and more of these little crackers.
I'm not gonna lie, getting rid of more alcohol might provide a handy distraction at this point.
Turn into a walking
I mean,
pile.
a drunk dragonborn will probably command a lot of attention. Way more than just a regular dragonborn does, which also commands a lot of attention.
Very true.
Waiter,
At the end of
more
the
wine!
night, I will be the best distraction ever.
How many of the toothpicks have you already eaten?
I was not counting. Am I
Looks like
supposed to
maybe
be counting?
12 cracked
Oh,
ones
God,
that
I
are
mean,
in her. I like the idea, River, that you actually continue to crunch the toothpick before spitting it out every time, as if you're eating like pistachios or something, like,
Yes. It's like the
So,
shell.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't swallow too much of it. If you eat so much fiber, it's not good for you.
I think I'll be fine. I've had wine.
Yes, of course you will be fine. You had wine.
There is also a waiter who passes by with more wine and also another plate. These ones look like some kind of like folded pocket, like maybe dumplings that you can see.
I grab a couple before they all disappeared in the the river direction.
Yeah.
Dumplings!
And like you can see a couple of other waiters that are sort of moving off to the side. I think Urash and Greta can probably see that they're now tracing a path around you so as not to go next to the vacuum cleaner known as River with this stuff, like, to get to the other guests. So they're routing themselves a little bit differently. And Nesto says, the ship is going to leave any moment to head upstream. At that point, the gambling will begin in earnest. And if you wish, you can be taken in to find out what you may find.
Yeah.
Not gonna find out much standing here.
There's not like a regular gambling group called like the Giant Slayers or something, right?
And he says, not that I am aware of. There are, of course, regulars. You will find some of them, but they all work as individuals. Free agents, you might say. But, of course, for the great Ina, Lord Roaringhorn, Penbach, and Toothpick, I am sure there will be no concerns about what your group will be able to do.
Ernesto, this is a properly licensed establishment, right?
Well, I mean, licensing is, it is a complicated business, my dear, and licenses require a certain amount of renewal. There's yearly fees. I do not run this ship, you understand. I am only
I'm licensed.
aware of these differences. But the ship itself is registered for use
Okay,
as a ship.
I'm not your dear.
What'd you say? I didn't hear that.
I'm not your dear.
Oh, well, of course, my dear. Not my dear,
Oh.
sorry. I beg your
no.
pardon.
Yes. Do that.
He
How
nods.
far out does maritime law apply in the Forgotten Realms?
Well, it depends. Now, one thing to note is that Yartar, remember, this is a riverboat. So if you look at, for just a moment here, let me bring you back over to the Sword Coast.
But to get to the sea, we're on here for a while.
Yeah, exactly. This is a gambling riverboat, not a gambling, going out into the sea. So if I zoom in here, here's where
Yartar's
Yartar-
jurisdiction can only extend so far, right?
Yes, that's probably the case. That's probably the case. And there are some decent-sized rivers here, obviously, like the Desserin River, which runs all the way into the ocean from there, which runs all the way into the Sea of Swords. And then there is another river which runs from, besides your own river, which runs from the east, so from the Lost Peaks, the Star Mounts. Actually, not all that far, arguably, from where you went to the library, that big thing with the library and the High Forest and all that. The river runs from there all the way to the west and into Yartar. And so that also is a decent-sized river. So it's a pretty big, wide river, but still, it's a river, not an ocean, for what that's worth. And so he says, of course, that is what I know about the ship. It is up to you as to what you want to do while you are here. I will, of course, be of any kind of assistance that I can. If you need for me to gather information in the shadows, I can move silently, sotto voce, yes? I can do this easily if you wish. Or I can have, perhaps, any kind of distraction that is made. I am happy to help however I can, so long as we are notified of what exactly is happening. By which I mean, I need to know what exactly you're doing. Why did you bring this coin here? What exactly is this clue that you're trying to follow up upon? It has been several months since we have spoken, you realize.
We have reason to believe that a person or persons on this boat may be working with someone who is working against our interests and the interests of the Forgotten Realms at large.
Oh.
And may be responsible for a murder that we are looking into.
Oh, it is most distressing. And, of course, I must be the soul of discretion in that situation. Well, I can tell you that you will need to be careful then of both Lord Dryland and Pao Ming. And he points over at the now, retreating form, long down the deck. And he says, there is something about the way those two are connected. Somehow she is always where he needs her to be. I don't think they are the same person, even magically speaking, but there is some sort of connection between the two of them. And if she brooks no disagreement... Sorry?
Just as he's pointing, I just lower his hand very slowly. I'm like, discretion.
Ah, yes, quite right. And, of course, Lord Dryland, who is... Well, he usually comes out at least one evening, the first evening that the boat goes out after being in dock for some time. The boat has not left for about a week, so on its voyage again, I would expect you would see him. At that point, you can see for yourself what kind of man he is. He is somewhat, odd.
We are used to somewhat odd, and indeed attracted to a certain degree.
He nods. I would hope so, yes.
What are you saying? Somewhat odd. What do you
Also,
think?
I've just realised I've left Fluffball waiting on the dock, so I give a piercing whistle and hope he can hear it. and follow the boat.
Okay. Do you want him? Yeah, because the
Well,
boat
has the
does
boat
actually now. Yeah, the boat has just now started to leave.
So I give him a whistle and hope he at least. Like I said, I can't control him beyond whistling and hoping he comes. So
Right. Are you going to try to get him? You want him to follow the boat?
that's what I hope if he can't get on the boat. Obviously, I don't want him swimming down the river behind the boat.
Well, I was going to say. So what? As you look over, you see that he's kind of loping down the, off of the dock down the riverbank. And
that works.
sort of loping on the riverbank, and at one point, you see that the bank is getting kind of narrow, and so, but he seems to be keeping up. And then there's a, whoosh, and now he's swimming, after you with some great speed, actually, pretty significant speed. As you know, when Fluffball gets moving, Fluffball doesn't stop.
Is that
He is a hecking
how
tank.
dog works?
That's how
Is
Fluffball
this-
works.
Is this okay? It's like a sea dog? I don't know. Is this fine?
I mean, I haven't gone swimming with him, so I'm a bit concerned.
I'm concerned as well. Somebody save the doggo.
I mean, he didn't come with an instruction book. I'm kind of making it up as I go along.
He cannot swim after the boat for an hour. That's not what dogs do.
He's still furiously
I tried gesturing at the bank.
Okay. He kind of and then he looks around and then sort of starts to slide off to the side, gets up onto the bank, and then stops there, because pretty much if he's not going to follow down the river, that's as far as he's going to be able to get. And he sort of looks at you, so you have this image, the sun is setting, so you have this image of him cast in silhouette, looking nobly in his usual, I don't care about anything, sort of dramatically off to the side silhouette dog, as the boat is continuing down the river. The boat, incidentally, is powered by oars, and there are oars that are sort of in time pulling the boat forward. And the boat is actually fairly quiet, given that. You don't hear anyone yelling row, stroke, or whatever, any of the things that you would hear from a boat being rowed like a galley. But it does seem that it's run by oars. And the people on board seem to be in quite a merry mood as the sun sets further and further. And then you hear a little ding, 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 a bell ringing. And Nesto says, the time has come. The gambling hall is now fully open. It means that we are now, so you say, in legal waters.
Ernesto, about the gambling token. You said earlier something about their gambling token for certain events or something like that?
Yes, the gambling tokens are given out at different times. The basic one looks like this, but some of them are somewhat more special. They will have, for example, the letter of the city, Yartar, on the back of them, or they might have, for example, different illustrations around the outside, different details, some years gold, some years red. It's designed to keep anyone from saving it and coming back much later and using it in a way that they shouldn't, and also makes them more collectible.
So this one is just a very regular one.
So it appears, and he kind of peers at it, and he kind of flips it over and looks at it. Well, this is assuming you give it to him, I should say. Do you do that, Celsing?
Well, I've got two. I've got the regular one and the one with the Y on the back at the moment.
Okay, so which are you going to show him either one?
I'll give him both.
Okay. So he looks at them and he says, "Well, yes, this one, which is just the one without any letter." He's like, "This is very normal, yes." He says, "But this one," and he looks at the back of the one that has the Y, and he says, "This one is particularly special, yes. And this was, some months ago, I would say, there was an event that was celebrating Yartar's, essentially, day of birth, if you will. And the Grand Dame decided they would make some extra money in coin by marketing these for one day only. It was, perhaps, well," and he thinks about it, "it was perhaps not all that long, now that I think of it, before things began to go crazy in the Sword Coast, where the giants began to rebel, all the things that you've been working on previous to this. It happened not that long after that particular night, I think, actually."
But the one with the Y was not the one we found at the...
The Y was the one you found in your pocket.
Mm.
Yep.
Is somebody trying to set Lord Dryland up? I mean, there's like kind of people like that.
Now you're thinking.
He's like, how could you set him up? He has guards around him all the time.
I'm not setting anybody up. Why would he say something like that?
Maybe we're being set up.
Oh. And he pauses. He says, well, you are very notable, he says. It's quite possible that they may have decided that you were a threat. But who is the they? These people are simply gamblers. High-rent ones, certainly, but they don't seem to be conspiracy theorists. At least, not that I can tell.
Well, whoever lost the gambling chip at the place where it happened, either is gambling here so much that they carry around the chips because they expect to come back here for more gambling, or they work here, or it's seriously just a trick to make people think there is a connection. But it's. I mean, we could just ask Dryland, I guess.
Ask him. I suppose he
Like,
is going to
are
make an
you connected
appearance,
to
but he'll have all of his guests around him when he does.
Well, we could just ask him, are you connected to Colin the Giant Queen?
He says, I have a feeling that if he hears that, he's not likely to tell you your answer.
Well,
Even if he hasn't, he might get very offended. And we're kind of on his boat
That's true.
without Fluffball. Oh, Ash, can you think of a way we can get him on?
Yeah, that's what we should do. We should now smuggle a wet dog.
Which is also now way in the background and like barely visible.
I
against the
whistle
setting
again to
sun.
just try and get him following us a bit. I'm not leaving him behind. I've lost a horse already, damn it.
Okay. Unclear whether or not he listens to you because it's hard to see him now in the distance.
I mean, thinking about it, is there like a rowboat on the ship? Is it big enough for like a life raft or something like that? Like,
There are several
Well-
buoys, like several life rafts that are on here. Yes.
Right, Celsi, you could, Penbach, you could maybe commandeer a life raft, go get Fluffball and come back. Or you guys could kind of like meet in the middle.
Well, if I lower the life raft, how do I get back up again?
Just don't.
No problem.
The thing is, we have rope. I can work with rope.
Also true, we have some supplies, but nothing. Well, I don't have anything massive on me. Like I don't know if I have.
No. We don't need to get the boat back up. Just
Oh,
put
right.
the hobbit and the dog that are on the boat.
Got it. Right.
We're not gonna smuggle a wet dog. Wet dog is like everybody can smell it. It's like, and
He's a good boy. We'll pretend he's River.
he's the best. He's the best boy, but he's also I mean, he's a dog, and aren't dogs like kind of wolves anyway? He's going to be fine for a few hours.
We don't know where we're gonna be in a few hours.
Well, if he's here, he might. We're not gonna be here because we brought a wet dog with us.
We've been through a lot of teleports over the last few years.
He said, "Yep, he's got us there."
What?
I turned to Celtic. I'm like, look, totally with you. We can stall for a bit if you want, and you want to go get Fluffball, come back. We'll help you up. One of us will keep an eye out.
I'm getting my dog back.
And he
We
says,
cannot smuggle a wet dog on this ship now.
he says, my friends, I am sure that your pet is most important, but you cannot get a dog on here without them noticing. They will find out. You will be removed. There are no pets permitted on this ship. Where would you conceal him, even if you could get him on the ship?
I could probably put him in a barrel. He's a good boy. He won't mind.
A barrel? And he kind of like gives like Greta. He gives you this helpless look, like what? You know, and like
And what are you gonna do? You're just gonna roll the barrel around all the time so you keep him with you?
I just don't want to lose him. I'm not saying he's disappearing right now.
He's not disappearing. He's standing on dry land where he should be.
Okay,
And we're getting further and further away from that point.
we're not going to be on this boat for very long. We think, right? That's the plan, right? We're on this boat. We need to figure out who did what, right, and then get off. Because quite frankly, this is a dangerous place to be, especially for prolonged periods of time. Now, whether or not we have to just abandon halfway through. If a ruckus happens and we swim for shore, then we make our way back to Yartar. I'm with you, Penback. Sometimes things can happen and we end up in places that we're not supposed to be.
Sometimes.
Thinking of Maelstrom and Bryn Shander and the Eye of the Allfather and
Waterdeep and Neverwinter.
Exactly.
Below a mountain of snow.
Yeah, exactly. Below a mountain of snow, Iron Slag, all
The
of the
Oracle.
Yep.
Falling from very high into a forest.
and all of the others, right? However, you know how much football means to all of us. The minute we're finished with this, we need information on this. This is an important thing. But the second we're finished, we're back in Yartar. And if we're anywhere else, we're going to Yartar to get football.
We will find Fluffball.
We do have ways to get back there if we end up too far away.
If we end up in Neverwinter, if we end up anywhere else, there's probably going to be a teleporter nearby to get us closer. There's probably going to be transport we can get. There's probably going to be a dragon we can hitch a ride with who keeps butting into our business every now and then. It's going to be something. So he's a strong dog. Like you're not leaving a dog, you're not leaving a kitten in the wilderness. Like he's going to be able to look after himself. So we're going to go back to Yartar, find somewhere warm and dry off, to be honest.
He is pretty sensible. More sensible than most of us at any given moment, to be fair.
There is that. I am learning a lot from him.
I mean, we're still here. He's sitting over there. Probably already found somewhere warm.
And
What were you going to say, Greta?
also, the people on this boat, I'm pretty sure they expect to get home tonight, so the boat will turn around and not that far off.
You'd hope so, right?
Yes,
I mean, not an end-
indeed. The boat only takes about 5 to 6 hours out at the river and then returns every evening. This is the way that it gets new people on board. They need to restock somehow if they're going to lose all their coin.
I know, I'm just thinking if I ran a place like this, maybe I wouldn't go back to the place I just left, but that might just be some random thought that crossed my head, not based on past experience in any way, shape, or form.
So, we shall now. I didn't even know how we're gonna find out who used this coin and then killed a giant coin.
Drunken boasting can get you a long way. Especially if a half-orc lord is doing drunken boasting.
The thing is, as he looks at the coin, the only one who would give out a coin like this, or would think to have it given out, I suppose, and he's looking at the one with the Y on it, this would have to be given out only with Lord Dryland's approval. He knows everything that happens on this ship one way or the other. So, the problem is getting to him, but if you wanted to gather information, you could do much worse than to go talk to him. He is, as I say, an odd sort, but perhaps he might have information available. Or you could try to perhaps talk to some of the regulars here. They might know something about it, but again, anyone could have had such a coin if they were here at the time that it was given out.
This is a very special coin, then Lord Dryland wants us here, and we can consider ourselves ordered, I guess.
Or someone wants to make us think that.
So, either I think we find the Lord Dryland, and we basically say, "We got your invite. Now what?" Or we say that either he knows that we're on our way because for whatever reason this series of events has happened to put us and this person together, or they kind of go, "Who the hell are you? Guards, quickly." At which point we go, "Oh, hang on, someone's clearly trying to set both of us up. Let's try and figure out what this is."
Or he's been told, someone will bring this coin to you. Kill them.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna find out if that happens.
Yeah. Either way, all rivers lead to Dryland.
We kill
Heyo.
trying to kill us as we have done before, and we, convince Lord Dryland to tell us who said, "Hey, kill these adventurers, these pesky kids." Probably by dangling them off the back of a boat, or dangling them above a hungry dog.
So, we could just ask him and I cast a Zone of Truth. And the thing is, we could just go with him with the coins like, hello, we think somebody's trying to set you up for murder.
Sort of, yeah.
Why would someone have given us this and just stand there waiting?
Yeah. Oh, we're here, now what?
For once, I think the direct approach might be best.
I think
And I'm sure we're all doomed for this.
Yeah, I think this is probably our weirdest plan, but it's probably the most direct to either get to the kind of information we need.
It's so direct, I'm scared.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Let's
So,
find
I
Lord
just
Ryland.
did we bring any weapons?
Yes, we
That's...
brought
Did we?
this River and me. And
Well, I
she's
haven't
right.
got any.
That's a point.
Oh no, wait, hang on. I need to ask a table question. Do you
Yeah.
know when I kind of traded all my stuff in? I haven't updated my inventory yet or my gold situation. We'll talk about that another time. But basically, I kind of shoved everything onto the table of the blacksmith. Build me an axe worthy of Tempest.
Right.
And they went, sure thing. Did they give me the spear back or something back to say I don't need that?
No. I think I bought that they pretty much took the whole thing because
Right.
you were looking for mega weapon that you could use from that point forward. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm just making sure. So I just know not that I am unarmed at this point.
Essentially. I'm trying to think actually if
Maybe
anyone
something.
tried to conceal something. I don't know, Celsig, if you tried to conceal like a dagger somewhere or something. I don't think so. Or if you concealed any
think
money in your money suit.
Well, we're going on a gambling boat. I don't think I need to conceal money. I think
Yeah.
a personal cash is pretty much accepted.
Yes.
But I didn't try and conceal any weapons, no.
Okay.
It's a wooden boat. They like the boat. It's their source of income.
Oh no. Yak PTSD.
And I mean, they want this. This is their casino. They want this to continue. I don't think they want any disruption. They're going to be nice.
Depends how flammable they feel.
It's all going to be fine. I'm wonderfully sure because I mean,
How do you imply flammability without setting things actually on fire, though?
I don't.
I know. That's what I'm afraid of.
And
If they know who we are, we don't need to imply anything. We just leave havoc in our wake. It's fine.
And what if they go, who are you?
Sorry?
What if they go, and who are you?
If they go like that,
Yeah. What do you do then? If they don't know who you are, do you set fire to the wooden boat to demonstrate?
why would they have given us the coin then?
We don't know they did. Someone gave it us. We're skipping several steps of the investigation here. I'm finding this very distressing.
I find everything that's happening in the last year is very, very distressing. So let's go and talk to the Dryland guy.
I nudge Nesto. I'm like, is there any way we can talk to Lord Dryland?
he says, well, your best opportunity is going to be when he comes into the casino to say hello to everyone. That only happens at the beginning of a voyage and probably will happen, oh, I don't know, the next half hour perhaps.
Okay. Well, I say we chill out, have a drink, wait half an hour, and see. We can find out the lay of the land, and wait until Lord Dryland arrives. Here we need to talk to him then and there if they mingle, or we can try and get a meeting with them. I'm sure Lord Roaringhorn has a little bit of clout to swing around in Yarsar, but who knows?
And he says,
It's not so much about clout, it's more about gambling credit. Just
Right.
saying.
he
Pretty sure
says,
it's a big house in Neverwinter that we could put up for last one.
he says you'll need to be contacting him then in the casino. He rarely goes anywhere else on the boat.
Okay.
Other than his own cabin, of course. So, are you all waiting a few minutes out here, or are you going to go into the casino?
To the casino.
Okay.
Time for the big entrance.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time for the Faerun 12 entrance.
The Faerun 12. Okay. So, let me slide us back over there. While I'm doing that, is a good moment to reset and welcome everybody to episode 242 of Pen and Pixels. D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder, the Ocean's 11 Riverboat Gambling Edition, with the amazing D&D with GOG crew, starring Paranjade, Darksaber 2K, Peripheral Mike, and Tasty Chai. We hope you are enjoying this, and if you are, we hope that you will follow GOG, that you will subscribe to us here on GOG, and you will click through to all of the various individual people's Twitch channels and happenings and things like that on Twitter and elsewhere as we proceed into the casino proper. So as you make your way over then, after a few minutes have passed and the bell rings again, indicating that the casino is now not only open, but that there are festivities to be had over there. I'm going to open up a little bit of that now. And, oops, there we go. I was like, where's the thing that's happening? Okay, put that there. And then we've got this, which is up here. We're going to go up here a little bit. And like that a little bit. Okay, good. Okay. As you all make your way over there, you're all headed this way when someone whispers in your ear as you're walking down, and it's Nesto, who says, I would have a word with you, please, River.
What? Yeah. What? What do you need? What's that?
And he kind of like draws you slightly back, not like, haha, I've kidnapped you, but just, draws you slightly behind the others. And he says, River, you will need your wits about you. Are you prepared for whatever is to come?
I am still hungry, so yes, we're headed toward food.
And he says, I have no doubt of your hunger. What I am concerned about is your preparedness for other aspects of this trip. This is a ship with a great deal of magic on it. Someone with your abilities may be noticed.
So I shouldn't use magic, right?
Well, just be aware that it will attract attention for what that is worth.
Okay, I am aware. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Is there more wine?
And he says, I think you will find some more in the casino. And
Awesome. I will go get that. But I will not, because I will have wits, right? Is that... Yes.
Exactly. And he says, and at this point you're just about at the casino, and he says, and have a care. I hope that we will be able to speak somewhat later. There are some matters that I think you would find of value.
Okay, I will talk to you later. Thank you, small guitar man.
And he smiles, and you notice that his tone of voice was maybe more serious than normal, but such as it is. You find yourselves all in the casino. Now, let me see if I can... This is good music and all that, but let's get something... We can set this up even more. Are we looking at this? Okay, I think that might be... No. Honey Tongue Traveler, maybe. There we go. All right. And I'm also going to remove the city during the day because we're definitely not on a city right now. Okay. So, as you make your way into this very busy casino... there we go. There we go. So you find your way into this busy casino, and everywhere that you look in this place has got action that is going on of some kind or another. The centerpiece of this large cabin, there's, again, tables everywhere. People are occupying every location. You can see dice being rolled. You can see several large wheels being spun that have a bunch of numbers on them, and things like this. And you can see also cards being dealt out at various places. And the centerpiece of all of this is a gold-plated wooden sculpture of a goose, which is resting on a table in the aft end. You can actually see it right there. There are glasses of fine wine, some of the same kind you've already been happing, River, which are arrayed around it. And behind it, you actually see there is a portrait of a foppish, grinning man hanging on the wall across from a wooden spiral staircase that leads up to the dance hall. And Nesto points that out and says, "It is a picture of Lord Dryland himself. He doesn't look much better in person than in that picture." Because he looks kind of goofy in the picture and, sort of silly. The other thing you notice, and I hesitate to mention this with Darksaber here, is that around the front of the man in the portrait, so he just sort of looks like a foppish nobleman, but around the front of him are wound several what look like, on brand, tentacles. Like red tentacles sweeping over his front. In the painting.
Does this guy have like a pet octopus or something?
It possibly, although Vir Invictus just subscribed with Prophecy of Things to Come. Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Pythagon. Yeah, Cthulhu Pythagon, yeah. Do you ask that, Urash, or you just sort of like, oh, by the way? Yeah, listen, it's your fault, Saber.
Yeah.
What can I tell you, man?
We knew this at the start of this chapter. Like we knew this a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pointed the painting. I'm like, what's with the tentacles?
Yes, well, I have told you he is an odd man, yes? He has a pet octopus. He will bring it with him. Small, well-trained. Of course, octopi can survive out of water for a period of time, and so he will be taken out of the water and brought down, usually on these trips, and he keeps it with him at all times. It is very strange to me. Then it goes back and presumably puts it back in its tank where it belongs. But it sits on his shoulder like a parrot or a normal thing. And Nesto seems a little weirded out by this. And is like, as I told you, he is an odd sort.
I look at Greta, River, and Salseg and like, are octopuses dangerous?
No, delicious.
Oh, okay.
Especially in butter.
Why does he wear food?
He says, so he, like Nesto says, I would be careful about commenting on food and octopi anywhere else. This ship serves no calamari. The last time someone asked if such a thing existed, he was, he swam back to Yartar, if you know what they mean.
So you're saying they don't serve octopus or calamari?
No.
That's insane. I look to the others, I'm like, I have no idea what they are. I have no idea what he's talking about.
It's kind of cute though. With the
I think he
long-
has a pet.
Okay.
Is it kind of a magical octopus?
And he shrugs, he says, it looks normal to me.
Like normal octopus?
Yes, a small one, but yes. But I know very little about octopi, except that he is inseparable from it, at least when he is around.
There's pie as well?
Oh, there's pie. I haven't seen pie.
He's
Where's
an
pie?
octopi man.
I look at River, I'm just like,
Nice.
there's so much food here. There's calamari,
so
there's
much food here.
calamari, there's octopi, there's pie, there's octopus.
He puts up a hand, he's like, these are all the same thing. Octopi are multiple octopuses.
I think he just told us there's no pie.
I just look at River, I'm like, common is hard. Like, it's a real tough language.
It definitely is. First there's pie, then there's not pie.
We have
Just
like
can't keep
That's
straight.
quite common around you, though, River.
That's true. You're a Benny Ranger.
orcs have like 2 words for food: hot and cold. That's about it, really.
It's,
And
well, I
so-
find. But okay, then he has a pet octopus. I'm a dwarf. I find this really, really strange, but it's fine. He does what I don't know.
It just doesn't make any sense. Oh wait, what if it's his Fluffy? Like Fluffball, except it's a octa thing. What if it's that? He rides it in the ocean.
Yes, it becomes bigger when it gets submerged in water. I've heard about these things, like sponges.
The what?
There are things, and you dip them into water, and they suck up the water and become bigger.
And they
Ed,
get
Corpses.
And as well, but it's not what I meant in this moment.
I'm so confused.
I'm sure that'll pass.
It
Wait,
hasn't
are you
passed 2
saying
years.
the octopus is dead? This is a zombie octopus.
There are dead octopuses in the water that suck up water.
I'd look over at Ernesto while this conversation's going on.
Nesto's like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think me and Ernesto are on the same wavelength currently.
Hi, but now there's not.
We're charged with saving the world.
He sort of shakes his head and he says, in any case, you'll... Oh! And then he looks up and he points and he says, it appears you'll have your opportunity now. And the music stops and there is a ringing of bells and a kind of a flourish, like "Bun-dun-dun-dun" type of thing. And then coming down the spiral stairs, which you can see down here, you see a man who must himself be either Lord Dryland or someone cosplaying as him, because this looks like everything he's been described. So give me a second here, because I'm going to show you a picture of this
I'm looking
individual.
forward to having the octopus debate solved.
Yes. In fact, I'm going to... We'll talk more about that in just a moment, actually.
There's no debate. We have decided that there are 8 pies who are dead that
Yep.
suck up water and get big.
Yep.
That's what we decided.
That is correct.
Welcome to Science with D&D.
Okay.
I am your host, very confused.
All
I
right.
am
So here is the person in question. Make sure I spelled that right. Okay. And you can see him as well on stream. And indeed, as this person walks down, you can see that around, sort of curved around the back of his neck, is this octopus, like literally an octopus. And so he makes his way kind of around the stairs, and every so often he gestures and, you know, kind of does one of these, like, you know, like a certain, you know, blowhard who went down a golden escalator and then ushered in the, like, slow-moving apocalypse back in 2016. Like that, you know, like signals.
He looks like he's cosplaying as an adventurer.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Exact. So he's got this outfit that looks, I mean, the outfit itself is very fancy and very, except for this octopus on his back and around him. And he comes down and you can see as he makes his way down, looking watchfully from the corner of the room, I would say probably over here, you can see Pao Ming. Who is also visible and kind of watching the rest of the room as he comes down. And he holds up a hand for silence, and he says, my good people, it is a great pleasure to have all of you here. And welcome, of course, to the Grand Dame, which is the greatest entertainment in all of Yartar and the Sword Coast. And he begins to clap, and everyone sort of like does a little golf clap as well. And he just says, and he does that. Yeah, he's like the octopus does. No. So he does this, and you notice he does that, and then moves his hand up to kind of like brush along the tentacles for a second, like along the head of the octopus, and then comes back down and he says, "It is wonderful as always to be with all of you on this first hour of our voyage. I encourage you all to experience the joy and excitement of winning resources, money, and of course the thrill of victory, and occasionally the agony of defeat. Of course, I remind you all that there is food and wine in plenty, and all of you are perfectly safe here. Of course, anyone who may have forgotten to remove any weaponry that they have upon their person, be assured that you will be spoken to by one of the guards and asked to throw that weapon overboard. I hope you understand that a safe ship requires the safety of all our personnel to be upheld. Also, I must remind all of you that under no circumstances is there to be a violation of the rules of the games that we have here. We run an above-board service completely, and that requires us to have all of you be above board as well. So please be aware that you are being watched, and that we hope for nothing more than your greatest of entertainments. I look forward to meeting some of you individually this evening. Until then, please, enjoy yourselves, enjoy the wine, and game on." And he kind of rises, and there's this applause from people in the room, and he nods at all of you, all of the sort of room in general, and then continues to make his way down to the rest of the room. And you'll notice that there are people now that are, as you're sort of standing there are people who are going up and sort of talking to him, and he's kind of, nodding to them and all. And when you lose sight of him occasionally and he sort of pops up again, you can see there's always that tentacle. And indeed, the octopus is kind of moving itself around and like looking up at people and looking down at people and so on. And he seems to be making his way gradually through the crowd.
I look to the others.
I'm not sure of this guy.
Well, that's not what I expected. This is
I think
pretty...
it's cute. And the human is weird too, but I like the little thing with the neck.
That octopus has something gross on its back.
I know, right? Ew.
I feel like he's stolen the imagery from someone, but I don't know who.
I think. You're just gonna wear the hat for the rest of the stream now. Because
I totally should have. I can't now because it's been suggested. The moment's gone.
There's still time. Just casually put it on mid-conversation. No one will notice.
Stop!
Yeah. You run out to the boat, to the side of the boat. You scoop an octopus off your head, like fellow.
Octopus hat showdown.
And I have starfish.
Don't octopi have beaks? Like, aren't they?
They do.
When they bite.
Mm-hmm.
They're a bit nibbly.
A bit nibbly.
Depends how you cook it.
If people had octopi for pets, wouldn't we have heard about this before? Isn't this kind of a weird thing?
Hang on, we'll Google. One more.
No, I mean in-game.
No, I think we rode on a flying tower and we're being hunted by a blue dragon. Like, what about this is weird? Like,
No. Towers, I've heard about this. Dragons, I've heard about this.
flying
Octopi.
Flying towers.
I mean, the tower was a bit strange because it was having its own wizard hut.
It had a hat. It's a flying tower with a hat. What about this? Is just a crazy man with a different hat. That's all this is.
No, it's
No, the octopus is not on his head. Thank you very much.
That's
It is
very-
on his shoulder.
I wonder.
This is alright. This is
Shawl? Cape?
Is that I genuinely look at the party now and I whisper. I kind of motion over to the octopus. I'm like,
Can we agree on one thing? Humans are really weird.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Language is real hard. They've got like 40 words for food. What is this? It's the same thing. It's just food. Have it hot or cold and eat it, right? Okay.
Yeah, but you think fruit isn't a food?
Look, we've had this conversation before.
We have.
It breathes, it's food, mostly, unless you're related to it. But even then, if you're in certain circumstances, flowers, fruit, vegetables, trees, these are not food. These are
Actually, those all breathe. What do you think air is?
I dead eye just stare at River. I'm like,
Is air food? No, air is not food. What are we talking about?
He's almost over to you by now, by the way, as he's making his way through the crowd as you're having this discussion about food. And
I do
Nesto
wonder
says,
what you got up to before I found you.
Nesto says, well, you're going to get your opportunity to interact with him in just a moment.
going to a lot less fight. I'll give you that.
Smile and nod, smile and nod. Don't stare at the octopus.
Smiling away.
I'm staring at the octopus, but I'm smiling and nodding.
Just internally, every single one of us are like, don't mention the octopus. Don't mention it. Don't mention the octopus.
Actually, right now, River's thinking, I want to touch it. Will I get in trouble if I touch it? We're going to be mad if I touch
Would
it.
it be weird if he doesn't acknowledge the octopus?
If I tries to touch the octopus, I'll slap her hand.
Oh, just see how it goes. I'm just like, just see how it goes. Just play it out.
I would like, by the way, all of you to make perception checks for me, please. I'm going to ask for this at disadvantage, though, which can be counteracted, by the way, with inspirations taken from my channel. If you have such inspirations, chat, I'm just letting you know you could do that if you wish.
I crit failed. Never mind the other roll. That's an octopus.
Octopus, I've seen it.
That's the thing that flies in the sky and breathes fire, right?
Who needs one? Well, it depends. Technically, I shouldn't be doing this ex post facto, but we'll see what Greta does with that other roll in just a minute.
I've got a 10.
Oh, you got a 10 was the lower one?
Yeah, because it's disadvantage, so 10 is
right. That's right. So the reason I mention is, normally I wouldn't do this, but would anyone, if you had inspiration to counteract it, like the chat has a couple of inspirations they could give to people if they wanted one. So I'm curious if you want one.
Oh my god, it's a hidden mind flayer.
Oh jeez. Right, this is actually a deep fake setup for Larian. It's all part of the like, haha, you know. Yeah.
Greta sets fire to the boat in a panic.
No. I want to set fire to the octopus.
That's in like at least 30 seconds.
No, I'm pretty sure we're.
delicious. So it's okay if you set it on fire, because then we just have food.
So I'm pretty sure we're gonna need the inspiration later, because this cannot be the worst thing that's going to happen to us, right?
Okay. So we will hold on to it for now, but thank you, Lone Wolf and Dragon Spear, for jumping forward with possibilities.
Thank you, Dragon Spear.
So the highest number that I got from anybody was, I guess, River.
Somehow the drunk one is the one who's perceiving.
Right, Drunken Master.
You're so drunk that perception filters don't work.
Yeah.
It is undoubtedly, River, your the fact that you're a little bit tipsy at the moment. But as he's walking around, you notice that Pao Ming has stepped forward with her golden, her greenish gold kimono, and is kind of walking like, not flanking him, but like, a little bit of a distance, but like is clearly in the area. But the thing that surprises you is you're looking at her kimono, and the snakes on it seem to undulate in your vision. Like they're kind of wiggling a bit, and you're just kind of like, and you kind of shake your vision, but they still do that. And you're like, I mean, you've had a fair bout of wine, so.
I have had at least 3 wine.
Yeah.
I just nudge Greta, and I'm like, is that lady's dress dancing, or am I just wobbly? What's happening there?
I'm trying to see what she's seeing.
Yeah, you just see her wearing her kimono. She's just
fine to me.
Oh, she's got
Maybe you had a little bit too much.
No, I can't. No, look at the snakes. They're doing this.
So
Do
you're.
you guys see it? Do you guys see it?
Can I like try again now that she's pointing it out to me?
Yes, you've got good dance moves.
Yeah.
I'll allow you to do another check, but it's still going to be at disadvantage. You're like, are you sure she's got a dress? Because I don't know. I mean, like, who are we looking at here even? I mean, who is even this?
Oh, darn.
No, River, I think you should not have any more wine for now, please. I'm pretty sure they're like tasty fruit juice or something.
That's what wine is,
That
right?
is
I was
wine.
gonna say,
Wine
that
is
is wine.
No, wine is fruit juice gone bad.
Gone good.
bad.
Good, yeah.
Anyway,
Good.
we need to introduce ourselves to
Right.
Mr.
And he is now, in fact, right there. And so he comes up and he says, yes, I had heard from my associates that we had a new group of people here. And may I ask all of your names? I am Lord Caspier Dryland, the humble proprietor of the Grand Dame here. I hope you are all enjoying yourselves this evening. But please, what are your names? I am always pleased to welcome new people on board.
I am
softly
Penbach,
yeah,
and I present Lord Roaringhorn. I say, gesturing grandly.
And he sort of nods. You see his hand go up, and he kind of strokes the tentacle for a minute, and then he says, He says, yes. Well, Lord Roaringhorn, yes. I'm not familiar with any Lord Roaringhorns in Yartar. Perhaps one of the royal families in perhaps Baldur's Gate or Waterdeep, maybe.
I just go, Neverwinter.
Ah,
Yeah.
Neverwinter, yes, yes. What a great city, and I have no doubt that you do that city proud. And you, having presented him so well and efficiently, who might you be, sir? I'm sorry, you already said your name, Spellbach. So he says, and you, Penbach, you are simply his servant, or his...
Penbach is much more than that. Penbach is my faithful manservant and also head of my security detail. He makes sure that my enemies don't get too close to me, if you know what I mean. I'm sure a man of your position is in much of a similar standpoint.
Of course, it is most important to make sure that one keeps careful watch at all times. My security, of course, and he looks about him, and then he looks back at Pao Ming, who's just staring impassively at all of you, and he says, my security is the best that one could be able to procure. I am very fortunate. The idea that anything could happen to my dear guests would be a deep imposition upon my mind. I am happy that we are free from all of that, and free from any dangers of criminal activity, one might say. And he fixes you kind of with a beaming smile, and he says, but your companions here, I see we have a dwarf, and he looks at you, Greta, and he says, and your name?
I am Ina, and while Penbach guards Lord Roaringhorn's body, I guard his soul.
Ah, you are his spiritual counsel, then. Wonderful. That is most important. I am deeply, deeply connected to the spiritual world myself. You notice his hand goes back up to the tentacle. Deeply connected to the spiritual world myself, and it is most significant that we attend not only to the things of this world, but that of the next. It is one of the reasons why it is so important that we try to be fair here. I am so glad that you are here attending to him. We will do what we can to make your stay a spiritually justifiable one. And he smiles at you, and he says, and if you have a guardian for your body and a guardian for your soul, then I wonder which guardian we have left, as he turns back to face you, River, and he says, are you also one of the retinue of Lord Roaringhorn here?
Yes, my name is Toothpick, and I am the guardian of Lord Roaringhorn's food, just in case it's covered in vampires. By the way, you have introduced yourself, but not your lovely companion. What is that cutie wootie's little name?
And he sort of like, he kind of like gives you this look, and then he's like, ah, yes, you mean, of course, my companion. He says, he is beyond a name. I do not have one for him, but I have spent many long years in silent contemplation of this creature. I am fascinated with its undulations, its movements, most of all its resilience. You see, most creatures of the sea cannot survive out of water for any period of time, but this octopus is different. It can survive in any climate, in any condition. It is remarkably resistant to cold and heat. It is a strong creature, and I find that resilience and being able to survive in any condition is my own aspiration. And he pets the tentacle gently.
So
I am just like overcome with awe while he's saying this, and I'm just like,
The creature also sort of as he's speaking, like his tentacles like move around a little bit.
River is completely in awe by this thing.
so it is not your pet, I understand?
Well, in the sense that it is my spiritual advisor, you might say. At least I find myself contemplating the ways of the world and the larger world when I look upon him. He is, well, I don't think you would call something like that a pet. He is perhaps a door to a side of contemplation that one would not receive if one were simply spending time in the company of humans, dwarves, halflings, orcs, and dragonborn. I try to cast my net widely. And so, my creature here, this octopus that brings me a glimpse of the world beyond.
How absolutely fascinating.
Thank you. I often have thought so myself. Some of my guests find it strange at first, but I ask them, if you would carry a parrot around on your shoulder, or pet a dog or a cat, what is the difference between that and a pet octopus, and an octopus which accompanies one on occasional journeys? It is a wonderful experience I have found to be with this creature.
I would like to continue this conversation because this is an aspect of spirituality that I had never heard of before.
And he nods. He says, well, perhaps this is the sort of thing that we could continue at another point somewhat later in the evening. I'd be happy to welcome you all to my cabin, where we could speak more about these details, though, of course, I would need my head of security in attendance. And he kind of nods at Palming, who has continued to be just... It literally, if you looked at the picture, that's the real-life version of not moving at all. Like, that's been Palming's expression for the last, 10 minutes.
Of course.
And he nods. He says, excellent. Well, enjoy the festivities till then. I will continue to make the rounds. And he nods and continues on and speaks to others around him with the... As you go, you notice that some of the tentacles in the back that are wrapped around, one of them kind of almost looks like it's waving at you, though it may just be an accident.
Okay, have I ever heard about any octopus religion?
Sure. Well, I mean...
Wait a minute, I thought we were playing 5e. I didn't think we were playing Cthulhu here.
Exactly. You have heard of these ones that will not be
octopus.
named.
Cthulhu is kraken, right? That's a different animal, isn't it?
Yes.
All tentacles.
It is a different creature. Although certainly there's always been cults and things like that are associated around octopi, kraken, squid. There are different cults like that exist. Certainly not a mainstream religion of this sort. But it's a big place and there's a lot of people who do weird things, in the Sword Coast. But you don't know of any specific example of some religion that worships this kind of thing, no.
Well, religion, cult, sect, spiritual guru, anything? Because that seemed like he was very openly talking about this stuff. So...
Yeah, seems to be very into this idea of... seems very much into this sort of thing. He doesn't seem to be hiding it, basically. I mean, he's just sort of walking around with this thing. And the other ones in the hall seem to be not particularly perturbed by it one way or the other. Although you don't know how many of them are new. You seem to be the newest one of the group of people that are here gambling, so maybe they've seen this before.
Okay. I look at Celtic. I think this is still really, really weird with the octopus.
Why?
I don't know. It's like he's touching it all the time, and he's like talking about it spiritually, and it weirds me out.
It's cute.
You
He's
talk
cute.
about Voltest a lot.
He's so cute.
I don't touch him all the time though.
You probably
also
would
doesn't
if he
sit
was
on
on
your
your shoulder.
shoulder.
Solstice isn't on your shoulder.
Well, I
Exactly.
I surely hope this octopus is not a god, because that would be horrible.
That's rude. It would only be horrible if we ate him.
Are you sure you're not just jealous?
Of an octopus?
When Voltest was an octopus and he was on someone else's shoulder,
That's not Faltus.
have you seen him?
I'm sure
No.
if Faltus was an octopus, it would have been mentioned in my studies at some point. Like, yeah, and you know, by the way, our god is an octopus living in a casino. That would have come up.
Maybe he's not proud of that fact.
He
Maybe
is
it's on
proud.
holiday.
Proud. Like, no. Come on. I'm pretty sure Faltus is not an octopus.
Pretty
If it
sure.
was I mean, seriously.
Oh, it's
I mean,
brilliant.
just saying. Just suppose it does turn out to be Voltest. What then?
Then I'm pretty sure I have a lot to talk about with this guy.
Yes, how did he manage to find of all the octopi, the one that's Faltus?
Yes, that is the question we should investigate. That. So but on the other hand, it's wonderful that apparently only I think it's weird, that guy with the spiritual octopus. He called the
I
That's
think
not
he's
even the weirdest thing we've seen this week.
I go on a day-by-day basis.
You need to expand your parameters.
No, I don't need, because I'm pretty sure that would not be healthy.
Nothing we've done in the last 3 years has been healthy.
No, and I'm against that. Also, our Dragonborn is dancing again.
She's had a lot of wine. Cut her some slack.
Yes.
It's been a
I
lot.
don't think she had any wine before she met us. It's pretty
No.
much our fault.
Yes.
That's true. The old grape juice is your fault, and I hold you to blame. But I think the octopus is cute, and I would like to name it Squiddy Pants.
You should totally let that Lord Ryland know about this.
Yes.
I think he will approve. I should not tell him though, because I think he might stab me.
You should also
I
try to
did-
find pants for the octopus then, if you
He
call it
didn't
Squiddy
seem
pants.
very stabby.
The octopus?
Either of them.
An
He
image
was
of an octopus
surprisingly
just whipping out
affable.
big knives.
I was expecting to get ambushed. And
I'm
we
pretty
haven't
sure
been
he-
ambushed, so I'm not sure where we go from here.
I'm pretty sure he has people to do the stabbing if needs be.
I just kind of not even glance. I sort of move my body away from Pao Ming, and I talk to Celtic. I'm like, I'm not sure it's the Lord we need to worry about.
Yeah, no.
Who
her
then?
dress is definitely
Okay,
dancing, and
Pal-
anyone who says otherwise is wrong, because
Hmm.
that,
I mean-
that dress has dancy snakes on it.
I don't know about that. I mean, okay, she hasn't blinked in 15 minutes, but we've all done that.
I try to blink whenever necessary.
She is now, by the way, moving along, like, with, flanking him again, like, basically with Dryland as he leads on. So she's no longer staring at you, for what that's worth.
Maybe you should do like the gambling thing, so we look like inconspicuous until he calls us to his cabin to talk about his octopus. Which is like the best sentence I've said today.
Okay, how much money do you have?
The top 10 sentences you never
None,
say.
like always.
So that's the big thing about gambling establishments. They kind of want some money.
Well, you're like the
No.
you're the expert on money and on gambling.
Hey man, I gave all mine to the blacksmith. Okay.
I didn't have any money to start with.
River.
And whose fault is that?
I have,
Faltus.
I have
many toothpicks that you are welcome to gamble for more toothpicks.
Excuse me, do you accept small pieces of wood?
Hey,
With bits of
hey.
sausage on them.
Money is just small pieces of rocks. Okay. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
And not rocks, it's minerals.
Rocks are minerals, they're the same thing. Because they both come out of the floor.
A million jewelers just cried out in terror.
Okay, wait.
Hey, I think I have like 10 gold left. I handed to Celsic.
Isn't that enough? Didn't he say the little dooley?
I'm not actually sure what the minimum bet on these tables is, but it's the sort of place where if you have to ask, you don't have the cash.
But I'm pretty sure the token with the duck on it said 10 gold, right? Didn't Mr. Guitar Guy tell us that?
The basic one was, yes.
Yep, that's right.
Aha! So we have enough for one game. Make it count.
Yes, this will
Chip in a
certainly
chair,
attract
chip in a chair.
attention. All right.
Good at
What
this.
sort of gambling tables are around us?
There we
So,
go.
as you look around, there look to be a few different ones. There are a couple of tables where multiple people are seated, playing what looks like some kind of card game. There is another one where I mentioned these wheels are being spun, and there's like a number that's associated with it, and there's like a little what would you call it? Like not a ball. It's like on the wall, so it's like one of those little like pointer, I guess. And as it goes, like tick, 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 right? So you've got a few of those, and you've also got near the goose table, you have basically what looks like a big table that has got two large. They look almost like cups or buckets that are there, and a lot of people are gathered around that. And right now there are two people, one that looks like the dealer, or at least seems to be dressed nicely as a dealer would be, and then the one opposite it, which is the person standing that looks like just a sort of normal, regular person. And they're sort of staring intently at these two cups or buckets that are upside down on the table. And those are the obvious ones. Cards, wheels, and whatever the hell this thing is with a bucket.
And presumably a place where I can buy tokens.
Yes, there is on the end of the... That's true. There is there's a table here in the corner over this way that actually has someone who's standing there, and there is a stack of these golden goose coins that are kind of lined up next to him. There is someone behind him who sort of seems semi-dressed, but you can see a sword at their belt, and if you had to guess, you'd guess that's like the bank security or whatever, like that kind of security. That's right next to them, so.
Yeah. Oh, we'll go up. I want to buy... let's go up and see what the price for tokens are, I think, first, before we commit to anything.
So when you look up, and you go up, and there's actually no sign, but the person looks at you pleasantly enough as you come up, and... yes, my lord, what may I do for you, sir?
What's the minimum per token? We're new here.
Well, each of these tokens, and points at the regular, sort of like a stack of regular golden goose ones. These ones are 10 gold pieces each. Of course, here we have, and you look and you see that there's another pile that are golden goose, but they have like a silver rim around the outside instead of gold. And he's like, these are 100 gold pieces per coin. And of course, we have these. And then he points at a stack, and there's one stack that has what looks like a kind of like glowing white, like platinum, basically, around the outside, ring around side the golden goose. And he says, and these, of course, are 1,000 gold per chip. Larger denominations can be discussed individually with us if you so choose. Subject to the approval of Lord Dryland, of course.
Of course. Well, I'm gambling for myself rather than for my lord at the moment, at least until I convince him that I'm worth the money. So I'll take 6 of the regular ones, if you please.
And so he counts out, ding, 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 6 of those. And he says, very well, that will be 60 gold, please.
Yep. Hand those over.
Okay.
Including Greta's 10.
Okay. Yeah, so you're 50 plus Greta's 10.
Yeah.
We shared equally. Okay. And he hands, and so you've got now these 6 coins, and he says, good luck. May you enjoy fortune and fame, sir.
That's the plan. Okay, so we go back to the tables. I knew I was going to come to this. I was dreading this a little bit, but right. I want to observe the bucket game, because the other two visually sounded very self-explanatory. The bucket game, I think I know what it sounds like. I want to know. So we're going to just stand back and observe how it plays for now.
Okay. So you go over to there, and let's see, as we switch up songs. Nope, not upbeat enough. I think this is what we want. There we go. So when you come over to the bucket game, you can see that there are indeed a group of people clustered around, and now on the rest of the tables there's laughing and sound and people talking with each other. This is very silent though, and you can see that there are 2 buckets, and as I said, the person who's dressed nicely that seems to be one of the dealers from what you can tell is just fixed. Their eyes are just fixed intently on their bucket that's in front of them. And then the other person, it's a small bucket. I really don't want to make it seem like a real bucket, but you know what I'm saying, small bucket. And then the other person has their eyes fixed equally as intently on their own bucket as well. And you watch for a good, 45 seconds to a minute with them not doing anything other than just sort of staring. And everyone else is like watching them to see what's going to happen.
I noticed someone next to me.
Yeah.
What's this game?
Oh, this is known as... And he says, you must be new here if you don't know what it is.
First time. I'm here with Lord Roaringhorn.
Ah, well, it's called Dreamers. You see, the way it works is each person has 3 separate stones with different symbols on them. They then put their symbol, one of the symbols on the rocks, face down and below the bucket. The other does the same thing. Then they concentrate, try to visualize what rock their opponent has underneath their bucket and what is on their own. If they are able to determine what's under their bucket and what is under their opponent's bucket, then they have 2 points. If they win just one or the other, their opponent's or their own, 1 point. And if they figure neither, then 0 points. The one with the most points in a round wins. Best 3 out of 5, winner of those rounds wins, and wins big. The minimum bet here is 1,000 coins each, one of the 1,000 coin ones. This one's almost ready, I think, for them to make their decision. There's a time limit, on how long they have.
Is there any side betting on the outcome?
And he says, legally?
In any non-thrown over the edge of the ship fashion?
Well, those are 2 separate matters. You see the head of security there, and kind of like, you see the Palming is kind of facing in your direction from a big distance, though. It probably is not looking at you, but it's just like looking over now the other way and towards you. And she says, there's something bizarre about her. It's as if she can sense everything around us, thoughts, actions. So there isn't much you can get away with here without fear of being thrown overboard. I had a friend, a noble fellow from the club. Well, he was thrown over Saturday last. He did make his way back to Yartar, but he hasn't been the same since. All that for simply trying to pass a coin to someone to get a little bit of a tip on another game that was going on. It didn't go well for him.
I see. Thank you for the warning, my friend.
And he nods and he says, that said, this is by far the best game you'll find here. The thrill, the action, the excitement. Wait, here. And he sort of points, and you can see that everyone is kind of... And there's this sense like everyone is like leaning forward to see. And one person has now put his hand on top of his bucket. And the other one waits for a little bit longer, the person who is the guest. And the guest puts his hand on the bucket. And they wait for a moment, and then simultaneously draw it forth. Actually, I'm sorry, they don't do that yet. They have to make the call. So they do that, and then one of this, sorry, I just realized that would make no sense. Apologize. So they have their hands on the bucket, and the dealer says, the guest has first play, and the guest sort of looks down and stares at the other and says, for yours, a son For mine, the cloud. And so everyone kind of like does a little golf clap, like, oh, it's good play. Yes, that's what I would have done. And then the dealer says, a bolt from the blue, staring at his bucket, and then staring at the guest bucket. And his eyes widen a little bit. Yes. The tentacles of the beast. And nods. And everyone's like, oh. And the person nudges you and says, the tentacles of the beast. There are not many of these that are available. If it happens to be right, it's a very fortunate chance. But I have seen them do some amazing things. And so now they wait for a moment, and then there's a count. The dealer says 1, 2, 3, and then lifts open the bucket. And lifting open the bucket, you can see that under the dealers, there is what looks like a lightning bolt, basically, drawn on the rock. And then on the stone underneath the bucket of the guest, you can see what looks like a wooden ship that is broken in half and wrapped with 2 tentacles over it. And the crowd like, oh, yes, oh. And a couple people pat the guest on the shoulder and, this is nonsensical, and sort of stands up. I don't believe it. It's the second time in a row that there's been a perfect score. Is there something being done here? Is there some kind of extra, perhaps, information being passed along? I hope this isn't a rigged game. Now, you notice as he's saying this, Celsic, make an insight check for me, please.
Insight. Okay. 9. I am not doing well tonight. I'm just overwhelmed by everything.
Yeah, the only thing you notice is that the person next to you is kind of moving away slightly, and you notice that other people are moving away, and so
I'm going to move in their same direction because I can at least perceive that much, so it seems like a good idea.
And the guest turns around and says, I believe that, and turns, and Pao Ming, who has come up with surprising speed, is standing right in front of him now and says, is there a problem? I want to know whether there's something wrong with this game. What do you mean by wrong? Well, it's the second time in a row that he's gotten a perfect score, and I want to know if there's anything untoward happening here. And she says, as she reaches up and her hand just almost gently caresses the hairpin, and she says, surely, Lord Frankson is the name, surely, Lord Frankson, you are not questioning the integrity of this boat. And there's a moment where almost out of nowhere, the music stops, right? And everyone kind of gets quiet. And everyone is staring at Lord Frankson, who is now, you note, sweating somewhat profusely, and says, well, perhaps I was mistaken. Yes, perhaps you were. I find that mistakes are not usually ones that one should make publicly. They can be misunderstood. I imagine there will be no need for more such discussions, yes? Her voice has the quietness of a knife being slid from its sheath. And he sort of pauses and, yes, well, probably another game for me anyway. And he sort of stands up and turns and sort of a little bit like, it doesn't trip exactly, but sort of like you can see kind of is like trying to hold on to his dignity as he walks to one of the side tables, and ever so slowly Pao Ming lowers her hand from the hairpin and then looks at you and gives a tight little, as close to a smile as you've seen, like, and nods, and then turns and leaves and goes back to her position in the corner of the room as there's a moment's pause, and then the music begins to play again. And Nesto slides up next to you, Celsig, and says, you see what I mean?
Well, that was weird.
Scary lady.
I mean, would she kill a patron here on the floor?
I don't know. I've never seen it happen, but
I reckon she probably has a certain set of conditions where she would be allowed to. Based on what I just saw.
But, I mean, he was questioning whether the game was being cheated in some way, and I mean, isn't it in more of her interest to show everyone here in the room that it's not, so everybody will gamble happily instead of threatening to kill a patron?
Oh, Greta. First time in a casino, is it?
Second, I think, wasn't it? Didn't we? No, we did. No, first time. Okay, yes, maybe.
I mean, unless you count Celsick's little operation that he's working on, but
Working on, not
It's
established.
licensed. It's licensed. It's So it's still. They do want patrons with a lot of money on here, and I don't think if you think, first of all, you might get cheated on, second, you might get killed, that this works out for them. I think this is strange.
The rich are a different kind of person. The thrill adds to the prestige. The prestige adds to your prestige. If you're known as someone who is accepted at a place like this, that does wonders for your reputation.
Absolutely.
Nesto nods and he says, "Exactly. And also there is a lot of money to be found. It is possible that by presenting an image of herself that Bao Ming is more perhaps heading off potential problems before they begin. One must often perhaps perform. I, for example, am always on stage. I am aware of this. People look at me and expect something definite. They look at her, they expect danger. Some of these people here you must understand, Greta." And then he stops and catches himself. "Ina, I mean. Some of these people here you must understand. They have very little to do in their lives other than sit home and be waited upon. For them to come close to what they see as actual danger, well, people will pay strange amounts of money for experiences that brings them closer to the edge."
Is Pao Ming Lord Ryland's business partner or just his employee?
His employee. But if you want to know the truth, I often wonder how she feels about him in truth. She is loyal, so it seems, but I cannot imagine that someone like her, with her personality, would fit with his. Dryland, to me, is a simpering fop. An odd one, yes, but otherwise a gentleman much like many others. Pao Ming, on the other hand, he kind of, shrugs. I don't know exactly what she values, but they do not seem compatible to me. At least, not as partners. Yet she has served him for some time.
Thank you, Ernesto.
It seems to me if we want to be seen as people who want to be spoken to at this place, Dreamers is the game for us. However, we do not even amongst ourselves have enough for a single go on that. That is the problem.
It seems a very risky game.
But very
It
lucrative.
could be manipulated. It depends on what you're.
No.
I'm not talking. No. I am not talking about cheating.
Oh, man.
I am saying if we want to draw attention to ourselves, that would be the game to draw attention to ourselves over. And we are here for answers.
We don't even have 1,000 gold to lose, so it's.
That's the rub.
How long have we got on the ship?
So you've been here probably about, at this point, I would say almost an hour, and actually just at this moment, roughly around here, Lord Dryland is beginning to make his way back up the spiral staircase, and after waving to a few others, and he nods to all of you, and he just says, Perhaps later today, I will 15, 20 minutes, perhaps 30 minutes from now, you can come up and we can have this discussion. I look forward to this spiritual awakening that we may possess. And he nods and smiles, the octopus curling its tentacle around his beard, and then he turns and goes up.
I'll give him a friendly nod, like, yes, I'm looking forward to that.
So yes, so you're now down here, and yeah, you've been on, I would say you've been on the ship about an hour, and you've been in the casino maybe about a half hour, 25 minutes, almost a half hour.
So do we know how long we're going to be on the ship for? Like, is there a course that we know of or anything like that?
According to what Nessa told you, the boat goes up the yard, that goes down the Desserin River for a while and then turns around and comes back. And it's usually anywhere between 4 and 6 hours, usually is what the trip typically takes, depending a little bit on currents and things like that.
So, Celtic, Penbach, you've 5 hours, a few thousand gold. Shouldn't be difficult, right? And also, if you could pocket like 3,000 gold as well, so we could buy that resurrection scroll, that'd be grand.
We got the scroll, didn't we?
Did we get the scroll?
I don't think we got the scroll.
I didn't think we got the scroll either. Although
I'm very convinced we did, so...
Then what were we doing here? Then we could just resurrect the damn queen.
We were waiting for Arash's axe to be finished.
Oh, this is a side quest.
Side quest.
I completely forgot that, but that's true, actually.
I was so very sure that we got the scroll.
Oh.
Okay, so out of character, I thought we got the scroll after doing the sermon because we managed to pull off the sermon in epic fashion.
That's true.
And we got the scroll.
Did we get the scroll?
Yeah, and then we discussed what we were going to do next, and Arash didn't...
Yes, I think you did get the scroll, yes.
Now we either got the scroll or we're getting the scroll.
No, we're getting your axe.
Yeah,
Right.
we have the scroll.
You have no axe. We had to kill like 3 days for your axe to be ready,
That's
and
it.
I managed to talk us out of going back to the giants without having your axe ready. It's like, we may as well go and try and get extra information while we wait.
Right.
Let's go shake down Yatar.
Hmm.
That was it.
Oh.
Yeah.
And here you are,
Okay.
shaking it down.
I can reason with us, because even if we resurrect the queen, she might not know where Hekaton is. So it's still good that we're here and investigating. So there, we were
Yeah,
doing the
I
right
would say
thing.
this is more than a side quest, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
She might
And,
not even know who killed her. She might have been stabbed in the back for all we know.
Yeah, still, thing. If we're going to have a talk with Lord Dryland, and it looks like we might get this talk already without drawing more attention to us by gambling, I think the problem might be palming, that if we get very if we're not unfriendly with him or anything, to try to pressure him to say if he knows what is about people giving us the little gambling chips or anything. I think she is going to should be like is our main problem here, because she can just boot us out or apparently kill us or something, and then we need to set the boat on fire and everybody will be unhappy.
I don't like how we keep going back to that as the plan. We've already talked ourselves out of blowing it up with explosive fish.
Which I was with. I'm not gonna lie, that would have been an epic ending. I mean, we probably would have hurt quite a lot, but you know.
Okay, I think I'll just slide over there and have a little talk with Palming.
Okay.
Okay.
When you set the boat on fire, I'd like to remind everybody that
I'm
I have
gonna go
advanced water breathing, so it'd be fine.
Okay, go ahead,
I'm going to
Celsic.
go to the card game because the numbers game is just a random spinner wheel, probably rigged, totally random. I have no influence over that, so I'm going to the card game.
You're going to the card game. Urash, what about you?
I'm going to mingle. I'm going to keep close-ish to Celsic. So I'm going to make it look like he is keeping close-ish to me.
Okay. River, what about you?
I am still making very sure that there are no vampires in the hors d'oeuvres. And I'm doing this very near Urash because I need to make sure that he doesn't eat any vampires. So that's the plan.
I don't know what I'd do without you. I really don't. The Roaring died years ago without toothpick.
I'm going to talk to... okay, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to come back to you just before we wrap River, because it's going to be important in a moment. Greta, you go over to talk to Pao Ming. And Pao Ming is sort of, again, looking off in the corner, sort of observing everyone impassively as usual. And she kind of nods at you as you approach.
That's a good thing. So I'll just stand like next to her, staring in the same direction she stares at,
Okay.
and I will be very upfront with her, and I'll just say, "Would you have seriously killed that patron on here, on the floor?"
And she doesn't look back at you, and she says, "Please do not take this the wrong way." What the heck is your nickname, Ira?
Ina.
Ina, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Ina.
It's a real name. I didn't make it up.
No, I know. And she says, it's just you belonging to it that I need to get through my head. And she says, do not take this the wrong way, Ina, but I don't believe that my security procedures are your particular business.
No, it's not my business, but at this moment I'm really curious about it.
She says, there are occasionally people who misunderstand their position on this boat. We are happy to have guests and clients. We are not happy to have more than one captain or more than one owner of this boat. We find that a confusing situation. It is my job to clear up confusion.
So, only one owner, and that is Lord Ryland?
And she nods. Yes, so far as I know.
And you, what are your plans for the future? I mean, will you stay as security detail here forever?
And she says, I have long-term ambitions. They may involve my current position or an expansion of it. At the moment, this gives me access to many of the people whom I wish to meet, and I find that of value.
Because, let's face it, you seem to be, like, totally overqualified for this position. You speak several languages. I do assume that you have other talents as well. And still, you're standing here in the corner, looking if somebody is speaking out of turn.
She says, I'm not entirely sure I understand what you're doing here. Are you making a suggestion about my life choices, Ina?
I don't think I'm in position to do that, but you might be.
She nods and she says, I believe I heard Lord Dryland talking to you about spiritual choices. You are the spiritual advisor of Lord Roaringhorn, you say?
Yes.
And you say, she says, I appreciate the realm of the spiritual. It keeps one out of the realm of the physical, which is my business. If you wish to speak to Lord Dryland and he permits it, that is his business. Mine is to keep him safe. So long as I must do that, I will maintain my focus where it must be. As for my long-term desires... And she pauses and she says, I imagine that everyone's goals will change through time. I hope that at some point, my talents will be fully recognized. Greta, make a perception check for me, please.
It's a human.
It's definitely a human. Even with that, though, you hear what sounds like a quiet hiss from somewhere. She clearly didn't make it herself.
I look around if I can see the hiss.
I'll give you make another perception check for me. Do it at disadvantage, though.
21.
Wow.
No, wait, isn't no? I've
21
rolled
and
3
20.
times. No, sorry, I rolled 3 times for some reason. Okay, then it's 8. Sorry.
No, it's okay. If you
No,
rolled
that's,
3
that was the first one. No, sorry.
That was the first one, 21
20,
and
21 is correct.
Yeah,
I
that's
made
right.
it
I was going to
21.
say 21 and 22.
21. Yes. 21.
So you hear the hissing, and as you sort of look around, you hear it kind of dying away. And you swear your eyes kind of lead you back to where the sound is coming from. At the very top of her kimono, her gold and green kimono, there's a moment where you think you see the embroidered tongue of the snake flicker in and out of its mouth on her robe. And then she turns to you with a slight smile and says, I must get back to my duties. Enjoy your conversation with Lord Dryland. We will be watching.
Thank you very much. I hope you have a great evening, and may the future bring great things for you.
And she nods, says nothing. And River, as you are watching Selsig and Urash prepare to play their games, and Greta speaking to Palming, kind of, again, the room slightly spinning. You don't understand why the boat is spinning in place, like you thought it was supposed to go straight down the river, so you don't totally know. But enjoying the food, the hors d'oeuvres, and all of this. You hear another bit of a whisper, and you hear someone behind you saying, River.
What? Is it? What?
And it does sound like Nesto's voice. So when you turn around, you see him, and he has a very deadly, serious expression. And he says, with no accent, River, we must talk. We have concerns here, and you and I will need to be careful for both us and your friends. He moves his hand slightly, and in the palm of his hand, you see the sign of a harp. And that is where we're going to bring this adventure to a close. The session, not the adventure. It's all over. Storm King's Thunder's finished. Like, what? What did we even learn? Yeah, the session.
Season 3 is cancelled.
Season 3 is canceled. It's the end of Lost. God, what even happened? I don't even know what this means. I should totally do that someday. I should just go black screen and everyone just be like, the hell is this, the end of The Sopranos? What is this nonsense? Show me the freaking... So we got Netflix. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, good stuff. I was really, I happen to, political intrigue and spy stuff and is like turns my crank anyway. I love this stuff. So getting the chance to do it with this lovely group of players is awesome, and I love doing it, and it was great. And it's one of those things. It's like, can we play again in 2 hours? Like, I just want to play immediately. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I will start as usual at the bottom of the column with Chai, and things are beginning to get a little more complex again for River, as we had predicted might be the case. There are some other aspects perhaps that are coming to the fore for River, and perhaps her association with certain groups, let us say. So in addition to your, eating and drinking shenanigans, how did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
It was a good session as always. I apologize for being distracted a little bit. Not only do I have a small human that is in my charge, but I'm also very tired, and so it's been kind of hard for me to focus, so I apologize for that. But as always, it was a really, really great session. I loved it. And let's see, as far as when people see me next, probably tomorrow over on my personal channel, we're playing Mario, because I hate my life, apparently. So I just
Which Mario are you?
64.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, because I hate my life, apparently. I should stop. I have control over this. Like, I don't need
I could stop anytime.
myself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But here we are. And as always, looking forward to the next session.
Yes, very much so. And thank you, Chai. It's always a pleasure. And yes, we managed to play through with the baby growing older. I've managed to play D&D with 2 kids that are continuing to grow. So it's possible. It can happen. It can be done. But thank you, Chai. Always a pleasure. Also, always a pleasure to have Peripheral Mike with us. Urash, Mike, I would say that Urash probably did not have as much attention this time around on him for this session, although a lot of that was just sort of the features, the kind of a lot of ensemble work today, because the group as a whole was getting a lot of focus on different things that were happening. But in particular, I think trying to figure out what the heck is going on and why is going to be a part of what every one of the members of this group is kind of in the process of, and the fact that you still have to get back to Yartar and get your axe at some point, one would assume too. But how did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
It was really good. I knew that Urash wasn't, like, if we didn't want to go in and cause a scene, especially an unarmed Urash, I'm not exactly at peak performance right now. So I'm like, I will enable the more suitable party members to do their thing. You know what I mean? And I was kind of like, I can be the doorway so that, you know, we're a party at the end of the day. It's not one person doing all the stuff. So if I can help them, if I can help Celsic to do his gambling thing, or I can help Greta to do her diplomatic thing, or I can help River to do her, you know, food motivation thing, then that's completely different. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've got a bit of a croaky voice, unfortunately. I'm really tired, though I'm not.
You noticing a pattern, chat?
yeah, absolutely. I'm really, really tired. It's just gone midnight here, and I had a really pretty intense day with some data science stuff, so my brain's a bit melted. And so I'm kind of glad there wasn't a lot of questions being fired at me.
Yeah.
But if anybody wants to find out any more shenanigans from myself, including all the stuff I mentioned earlier, like doing more courses for certain learning platforms, writing a book for another learning platform, lots of D&D related stuff, all this sort of goodness, then you can check out my Twitter at Peripheral Mike, or you can just check out peripheralmedia.net, which will have all of the wonderful information on there.
Good stuff. Thank you. Always a pleasure, Mike. I appreciate it very much. And and you will see more things coming soon, chat, also related to perhaps this campaign and maybe trailers that maybe Mike may have something to do with it. There's a rumor going around that may be the case.
It is being worked on, I promise you. And that's not just me saying that. This isn't like an E3 rumor. This is a proper
this is not Half-Life 3 confirmed. It's actually
absolutely not. Every 3 minutes. I'm like, I will go through I'll scrub the timeline on that video, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with that, and I need to get at least 80% happy with stuff and before I actually release it, because if I wait till any higher than that, it's never going to get out.
Right.
So
right.
I need to get to a certain point, then I'll be sending Arva pre-trailer, I guess.
I am very excited for it.
That'll be it.
Yes.
And then we'll take it from there.
I am very, very excited. So yes, no, we didn't get Half-Life 3. But anyway, always a pleasure, Mike. Thank you very much. And moving right on up the line, also a pleasure to have Darksaber with us, who definitely did get some stuff going on here where, Celsic was really trying to figure out not only aspects of this gambling, which you do have a little bit of experience in, but trying to figure the details of this whole area and like the ship and what's going on with the people involved. And there's just a lot of weirdness, obviously, about this ship, from the owner of it to the whole Pao Ming thing to what the hell is Nesto doing? There's all kinds of stuff that's going on, which, and you're having to kind of navigate this as someone who's supposedly got the expertise in the gambling, slightly this side of legal stuff. So it was interesting to see Celsic do his thing, and I'm interested to see more of what Celsic does over time. How'd you feel about today? Where would the lovely folks see you next?
Well, I definitely had a lot of fun in going up to party members going, okay, we need to not use our real names. Off you go.
Just Pelbach was
just putting them on the spot was just, I got a little too much enjoyment out of that. Watching
Fluffy from Fluffland.
Particularly mostly watching Pyron / Greta squirm on the spot, was like, you need a secret identity. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Enjoyed that a little too much. Feel a little bad, but it was it entertained me. So.
Yes, it was enjoyable to actually watch that happen and go into play.
Thus far, I've managed to avoid gambling, which I was hoping to do, because I think as soon as it comes to dice rolls, I'm going to be like, right, here's where I shine. Crit fail. Crit fail.
Inspire me, chat, please. It's getting away from me,
Yeah.
Pheasant.
Unfortunately, I think next session I'm not going to be able to avoid that. We've also got this weird dreamers thing, which there's something up with that. There's definitely, considering it's a high stakes, on the face of it, guessing game, and there's got to be more to it than that. So that's what I've focused on, but I can't afford to step up and say, come on then, right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my next goal next session is going to be trying to make money to take a stab at it at least. I mean, everyone else can do whatever. Like there's people making inroads to various characters at the moment, but I'm here for the gambling. I am Lord Roaringhorn's financial advisor, and I must prove I can bring the bread.
Yeah, I was enjoying the idea that Lord Roaringhorn became his own microeconomy, where everyone is just kind of like, my job is to do this. Like, one man employs many servants.
More like microeconomy, considering I'm the one funding this whole venture.
I love that factor. It's like 50 coins. Like, well, I don't have any money. Well, neither do I. And everyone's staring at Celsig, and Celsig's like, like, exactly. Where will we see you next?
I will be back here tomorrow, and as most of you have probably figured out, I'm going to be carrying on with Control because it's a great game. I really enjoy playing it, and I'm having a blast playing it through here on GOG. So yeah, and I'll be back on Thursday on my own channel, so you can catch me there playing. I don't know what it's going to be. Probably Ghost of Tsushima, but I've got about 4 games ongoing at the moment. It's kind of flip a coin and see which of the 4 sides a coin can land on, as we all know they can.
Yes, definitely true. So I'm looking forward to seeing actually how that happens. Yeah, nano style economies is what you would definitely say. One might suspect Ranger is not his real job. What do you mean, Alman? It's very obvious that he's clearly a Ranger and also a rogue and a cleric and a gambler and a casino owner and a small businessman, and it's all fine. But always a pleasure. Thank you, Darksaber, and again, thank you for as always doing Move On and Dashboard, which I really needed today because I was like trying to rush into a million things. So thank you, I appreciate it. Also, thank you as always to our fearless leader, head of the stream team, and that of course is Pyron Jade. I was also really enjoying your decision. I think, Greta, to go over and talk to Pao Ming was an interesting one because I wasn't sure if people were going to look at Pao Ming as like the first assistant that you get in like the James Bond stuff. Like you go over to, I don't know, like Odd Job or like the Grace, whatever her name is, Grace Jones, in View to a Kill, where she plays like the lead sort of, not bad guy, but the badass who helps the bad guy or whatever. So I wasn't sure if you were going to view Pao Ming that way or if you were going to try to think of her as a separate entity. And you ended up kind of treating her separately and maybe gathering some information one way or the other, but I was interested in that. And also, there's a temporary moment also, I should say, about the whole thing with the dog that was really cracking me up about, we can't bring a dog on board. And so it's just being like, we can't leave him behind. He's a good boy. You're just like, no, he's the best boy. Yes, but we can't bring the best boy on board. Was really how everyone was like, I've got to convince them while also acknowledging that he is the very best boy. But also, we should not bring a wet dog on board a ship because it's bad. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. How did you feel about today, Pyron, and where will the folks see you next?
I like today a lot, and but I'm a bit afraid that next time we're gonna have the session with Lord Roaringhorn and you just start drooling, and then the octopus speaks like, "Okay, guys, what's going on?"
You will do what I say.
Something like that, because I totally don't trust that octopus, and like he'll speak or something. Something is gonna happen there. No, it's like he was like described like this foppish and strange, and she seemed like so. And Pao Ming seemed like so focused and competent and everything. And I was like, this is weird, because until Ernesto cleared it up, I thought she was his business partner somehow, because she disappeared so in charge. So yeah, as you can see, I'm already thinking about what's going to happen next session. So yeah. I'm totally into this. I might actually stream next Thursday. Also, it might be even a Greta related stream in some way. If I find the time, so that's a thing that's going to happen. Yes.
That is actually very exciting, and I hope the chat is as excited as I am about the potential of that. But this was really great. As I was telling them before, everybody, chat, I think you can see, is tired. I feel like a lot of people in the world right now are tired, just from the 2020 greatest hits that just will not stop. I think we're all sort of dealing with the beat down of this. But I'm very grateful to getting a chance to get away from some of that and hopefully to kind of model a different method of behavior of found family of people working together and coming to common purpose to defeat evil in a way that I hope perhaps may happen in America in about 6 weeks. Let's hope so. But that idea of coming together, I think, is really important. So I'm really grateful to the lovely crew here for doing that and being a part of that with me as always. And so thank you so much, chat. Can we get some love for the wonderful D&D with GOG stream team, Storm King's Thunder crew, Pyron J, Darksaber 2K, Peripheral Mike, and Tasty Chai. Thank you all so much, and I will see all of you lovely folks very soon. Bye for now. Okay. So that is the deal with that. And if I may say just very quickly to further that thing that I just mentioned, other than to say that my white balance is off, and I don't know why. Man, Logitech, I swear. Anyway, is just to say that if you have not done so already, please make sure today is actual National Voter Registration Day. So at least in the United States. And so if you live in the U.S., register to vote. Make sure you have a plan to vote. Make sure you have an idea that is going to tell you about how to vote. Make sure that you get a plan in place because it's going to be important. And make sure, if you haven't done so already, that you have a plan about how you're going to vote, either early voting or on the actual day, because this is really important, people, and we all need to have kind of our eyes on the prize as far as that's concerned. If you're not in America, please make sure you vote in your own respective countries, and please keep us in your thoughts and prayers because we're doing the best we can. I really enjoyed today. I hope you folks did as well. Next week, I'm going to be here, as always, on GOG for continuing Pen and Pixels with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Blood and Wine. I am almost done with that DLC. It'll either be finished next Tuesday or the Tuesday afterwards. Then I'm going to be moving right into, at that point, yes, there we go, that all-in vote. I love that all-in vote thing. Right after that, I'm going to be moving into Vaporum Lockdown, which I premiered. I did the release stream of that last week. I'm going to be playing that as my next series, and then obviously we'll be interspersing that with D&D with GOG, and there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming down the pike on the D&D front for many things, so I'm excited for all of that. And yeah, Vaporum Lockdown is going to be my next series after Blood and Wine, and then once that's done, I will probably finally get to Mission Critical, which I've been thinking about doing, so I will probably do that next. But the details about that I have to still figure out in terms of how that's all going to work. But I do know it's going to be at least, you know, Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, Vaporum Lockdown, and D&D. That's what we're looking at. And yeah, so that's going to be happening next week. As far as my own channel, now we are going to be taking a break. Pantsless Aaron will be back here with what I think is Fallout. I also vote for the Whalers to come back. Hell yeah, James Luxon. I'm down with that, 100%. Save the whale. But bring back the whale, I should say. Although right now I'm actually I'm a big fan at the moment of the Seattle Kraken because it's the greatest mascot in hockey. I think we can all agree. And also that team is run, that franchise is run by Ron Francis, the former Hartford Whaler great. So I mean, what else could you want, right? Plus I have in-laws. My wife is from Seattle, so you know it all fits. Regardless of all that, though, I've got to head on out of here. Pantsless Aaron is going to be back in a couple of hours. I will be back on my own channel tomorrow evening, where we will have more D&D with you. This is the Shadow Crew with Shadowed Mage, who sometimes shows up on this channel as the DM, DMing the Intrepid crew of Rock God, Trishy Mats, Hoodie, and our own Echo Alpha X5 in chat. That is happening tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern as we continue with Dragon of Ice Spire Peak. Then Thursday off, then Friday on my channel for our space opera Esper Genesis, which is really ramping up as well. And then Saturday, D&D with Infinity and Beyond, my Curse of Strahd campaign. It looks like, if all goes well, the Curse of Strahd campaign may end up wrapping up on Halloween night next month. May actually end up on the night of Halloween, Saturday, October 31st, which would be badass if that ends up happening. Can't promise it, but it'd be pretty amazing if it ended up going down that way, so we will see. Anyway, the point is a lot of awesome tabletop to come, so we will see how that happens. But that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please follow the channel here on GOG. Please sub to us here on GOG, and please click through and check us out on all our individual channels and systems as well. And please spread the word about this wonderful party that you just saw play. They're all friends. They're all really good players. I like them a lot, and I really enjoy this campaign, which has its own different feel from every other campaign that I DM. And it's always it's always enjoyable. Like they just have a lot of enthusiasm and just a really, fun vibe. And I really appreciate that a lot. So I needed that today. So thanks everybody. And I hope you folks enjoyed it as well. Thanks for being lovely people in chat. And other than that, I'm going to see you folks very soon. Until I speak to you next time, make sure that you stop back in here in a couple of hours for Pantsless Aaron playing, I think, Fallout. And otherwise, I will see all you lovely people soon. Until then, everyone be good to each other. Bye for now.